You're live.
The censorship we face when we go to report on Julian Assange, and not certainly during this sham of a hearing, but also, leading up to it, prior, even the last couple of years, it's been really, really hard to work around that algorithmic, I guess, hammer.
Yeah, and it's decreased definitely over the past month or two because of, obviously, I attract a certain kind of fans. Anything on Julian Assange tends to do pretty well going up to the past couple months because my fans are interested in that. However, over the past month, it's been it's like any video about him gets half as many views as my other videos. I've tried only putting Julian in the title rather than Assange, and maybe that helps a bit, but not that much. And then I did one, I was telling you earlier, I did one recently where I just titled it "The Man Who Cannot Be Mentioned," and that got 3 times as many views as the other videos because it didn't have a Julian or an Assange in the title. And apparently that's what it takes to get any traction on this stuff. Craig Murray, who's been doing great reporting, former ambassador for the UK, who's in the courtroom, he has said on his blog that despite the fact, again, his fans tend to be interested in Julian Assange information, his views have just crashed on his blog. They've gone from 200,000, I can't remember if it was a week or a day or something, down to 10,000. And it should be the reverse. Now is the time when people would be caring about this, and it's absolutely being suppressed on a level that we haven't seen for a lot of other things. I mean, you could probably do reporting, on ISIS and have far less algorithmic suppression than talking about Julian Assange.
100%. And Craig Murray, man, that guy deserves a lot of respect. He's fighting his own legal battle right now, part of which has to do, according to the affidavit, with his reporting on Julian Assange's case in February. He's become basically, in a sense, like Scotland's Julian Assange, where they now have a journalist that they're going after for speaking far more truth about the government than the government wanted spoken about them. And still, every single day he writes a novel about what happened during Julian's hearing that day. And the reason that it's titled "Your Man in the Public Gallery" is because the National Union of Journalists refused to reissue his credentials as a member of the National Journalists Union.
And yeah, that speaks to how the mainstream press, the large press organizations have just been pathetic on every level in covering this, in even mentioning it. Alan McLeod just did an article for Mint Press about, CNN maybe hasn't mentioned it at all. I think recently CBS did, or ABC did, like their first report on it, but it was mainly about Stella Morris and about his Julian Assange's children, rather than actually talking about the trial. And that's one segment out of whatever, however many hours hours they could have covered this over the past many months. And it's just complete. They just want to black it out. They want you to not know that one of the most important journalists and publishers in the past generation, if not over the past 100 years, is being tortured in prison right now for going on 9 years or whatever. It's just, they're so pathetic. I mean, they're just corporate hacks. I've tried to tell people that if you ever want a single way to tell whether your news source is legit and whether you should be even considering it as something to check regularly, just decide whether look at whether they've had a somewhat regular, there are some legit outlets that have just had it here and there, but somewhat regular coverage of Assange. If the answer is no, then fucking turn it off and piss on it.
I mean, that's fair. That's tough, but it's fair. We have been chastised a little bit for trying to raise awareness about the outlets that are doing just a shit job about this, and the thing that I think gets lost in the mix is that those of us who are like, hey, why won't you cover this? We're coming at it from a place of the audience member. And as a consumer of independent media myself, it's important to me that the people that I donate to and the people that I go to watch for either information or confirmation of biases or for a fucking chuckle are talking about the things that matter to me. And I don't want to kick around independent media too much today. I do want to point out, at least in terms of corporate media, that the only things that most people have picked up on throughout the last 3 weeks of just incredibly revelatory testimony is the one time Julian spoke up during the first week where he said nonsense during a cross-examination, during Daniel Ellsberg's cross-examination. So Ellsberg's testimony got talked about, and a letter signed by members of parliament and former and current heads of state and a number of international lawyers that demanding Julian's release. Fucking camera. This is probably going to happen 3 or 4 more times.
Okay.
That letter got more traction by major mainstream outlets than absolutely any aspect of this trial, and we have heard some amazing shit in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. There's been roughly zero coverage as to what a show trial it is, what a kangaroo court it's been, how many precedents are being broken. Just the fact that he's a journalist kept in a glass cage because they're so like he's Hannibal Lecter or something. Like he's going to jump out and publish something true when nobody's looking. It's so ridiculous. None of that's really covered in your mainstream, but you're right. There was some small coverage of the world leaders speaking out. Former prime ministers of Australia, presidents of Brazil, and various other world leaders all signed on to this document saying Julian Assange should be released. And I'd rather they cover that than nothing. But it's like there's a lot about this trial that needs to be talked about.
It's one of those things where as someone who's clearly on the outside of the media landscape, but on the inside of the WikiLeaks activism and activism around Julian Assange and the fight for free speech, it's incredibly frustrating because it's at least in my living memory, I'm 42, there's never been a bigger press freedom trial in my lifetime, and the fact that it's occurring largely under a media blackout to the point to where even NGOs like Amnesty and Reporters Without Borders are either being shut out or having to find alternative ways to sort of sneak in and observe the trial is pretty fucking emblematic of the dystopian shit show we now find ourselves in. A couple of years ago now, you and Eleanor and Krish came to Santa Cruz. And my friend Sarah and I came to see you guys. And I had like a 10-minute I got way too fucking stoned beforehand interview with you. Which kind of learned me on getting high before a show or before an interview. I don't do that anymore. But I asked you kind of like a I don't know, sort of a awkward question about does any of this shit, in terms of electoral politics matter anymore? And you were like, you should probably just get a glass of whiskey and watch the world burn.
Well, I think I may have given that out as a bit of a joke. I do believe you should have the glass of whiskey, but I believe in, obviously I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't believe that impact can still happen, that change can still happen. I think in terms of electoral politics, though, I think it happens much more at the ground level than it does in terms of the federal level of our electoral system. I mean, it's been so thoroughly bought out that we're not talking about winning elections. We're talking third parties can't even get on the ballot in most areas. And if you are even slightly left wing, you could still be hardcore pro-capitalist, but if you're slightly left wing, the Democratic Party will make sure you cannot win a primary so that you are not even on the ballot when the election comes around. And that's not even talking about the way the actual election, the general election, is actually rigged using money, et cetera, but it's like they won't even let you on the ballot. And so to focus all of our energy on these things is just ridiculous. But I do tell people to vote. I tell people to vote because there's a lot of down ballot things that it's easier to have an impact on that are not as rigged. I tell people to vote because, us going home and saying, it's rigged, I'm not voting, you don't win. You still lose. You are, saying, I'm not voting. The only way that would have any impact on the legitimacy of our government would be if like 99% of people did that, and that's not happening. So I do tell people to vote. I just tell people that it is a small part of the conversation. Go do it. Don't expect high fives afterwards. Don't think you changed the world. Just do it like it's your average duty of being a human being, like picking up your dog shit when you're taking them for a walk. It's that kind of behavior. It should not be all we talk about. And the mainstream media and our corporate elite, they achieve a lot of the damage they can without us noticing because it's all we're talking about, because electoral politics and the presidential election is all we talk about for year after year after year. It's just rubbed in your goddamn eye sockets and you can't see through it. That is useful to them. We're not talking about our military and 900 or 1,000 bases around the world. We're not talking about how we're bombing 7 countries. We're not talking about that shit because we're only talking about Trump and Biden for 4 straight years.
And we're not even talking about what Trump has done with the dictator's toolkit and international manifest destiny programs that Obama handed him. We've ramped up operations in Africa. We're engaged in illegal coups all over Central and South America. We're fucking around in Myanmar again. And Trump has now dropped more drone bombs per year than Obama had at that point. Okay. So this notion that we see kind of like on all of the edges of the political spectrum where it's like, well, Trump isn't as nearly as pro war or pro military industrial complex as Obama was. No, it's bullshit. It's just no one in mainstream media will report on it because these are the things that they consider to be like the way an American president should properly behave. That the U.S. has every single right under, the fucking God's dictums in the sun to overthrow Nicolas Maduro or oust Evo Morales and shit like that. It's mind-boggling to me that what they concentrate on is so unsubstantial when for all intents and purposes we may not have that much longer left on this planet in general.
Yeah, considering all that's going on this week, you mentioned Venezuela and everything. You're right that the Democrats agree 100% with all the belligerence and coup creating and economic sanctions that kill tens of thousands in all of these countries. The Democrats absolutely agree, support it, and despite everything that's going on in our country and our world right now, you've got California's on fire. You've got 5 hurricanes in the Atlantic at the same time. You've got blowing over, Mack trucks blowing over in Utah from 90-mile-per-hour wind, droughts across the country. Despite all of that and the pandemic and Trump forcing through a Supreme Court justice, Biden still took the time this week to tweet out that we need to bring down Maduro in Venezuela. Like, that's his focus right now. And, everything you're talking about is really important right now because for all those crimes that they're not talking about that Trump's doing, his war crimes that are the same as Obama before him and Bush before him, his enriching himself with the presidency, which is also unconstitutional. If the Democrats were to bring any of the legitimate reasons to impeach Trump, they could actually stop his Supreme Court pick because the Constitution says that if impeachment is brought about, all other business stops. So the House of Representatives, which is in Democratic hands right now, if they were to bring legit charges against Trump for impeachment, rather than that fucking ridiculous Ukraine gate or the ridiculous conspiracy theory of Russia gate, if they were to bring the real stuff, the war crimes, if they were to do that, they could actually stop his Supreme Court pick right now. But they won't. They have no intention of doing that. They will not do that because they support all of that stuff. They support the war crimes. They support the unlimited surveillance. They support all of these things. So they're not going to charge him on the real shit. They're going to let all that slide, and they're going to vote shame anyone who's disgusted with both the Democrat and the Republican Party.
And we're left kind of holding multiple bags of shit that either side of the duopoly has handed us as our consolation prize for being taken for a ride by both of them. There was a question in the chat for you that what does Lee think we should do to ensure our vote counts?
Well, the best person to look to for this is Greg Palast. He's done investigative reporting on how rigged and flawed our elections are for years now. He was the one who discovered how Katherine Harris helped rig it in Florida in 2000, and he does great reporting on this stuff. The best shot he thinks the best shot you've got of your vote counting right now is probably to vote early, but to take it to one of the drop boxes and actually put it in a drop box rather than using the Postal Service, which has been gutted. By the way, it's been gutted by both the Democrats and Republicans. Democrats and Republicans almost voted for it unanimously in 2006 to saddle the USPS with billions of dollars of debt, which over the next 3 years resulted in 65,000 postal employees being fired, and that was both parties. So yes, there is a lot of difficulty with the Postal Service right now. The truth is we're not going to have a real legit election until we get rid of all these crap electronic voting machines that are, rarely audited. When they're audited, they try and cover up the fact that the votes aren't adding up, the counts aren't adding up. But your best shot is probably to vote early and drop it off is what Palast believes. But again, you are a small with these votes. You are a small, tiny matter in this. The estimates are that 20% of mail ballots are thrown out, and that was before the Democrats are raising a stink about it right now because Trump's saying it, and the Democrats are saying no, mail voting's great. But the truth is those numbers are from even before now. Those numbers are from 2 and 4 years ago. 20% are thrown out. They'll throw them out for anything. They'll throw them out because your signature looks slightly unusual. They'll throw them out because you signed it in signed it in a native language rather than in a language they prefer. They'll throw it out because you put an X instead of the filling in the bubble. They'll throw it out because you there happens to be a cum stain on the top corner. They'll throw it out for all these reasons. They
went to the Brenda Snipes School of Vote Counting.
I know. Yeah. And she kept her job after that, too.
She kept her fucking job after
burning all of the ballots.
And then going, well, yeah, I mean, I did. I didn't really know that was illegal at the time. So now that I know, swearsies, we'll find a different way to destroy him next election. And people went, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sure, why not? Why not burn all the ballots immediately after the election that no one can recheck the results?
You know, the most important item in your election counting toolkit that you can have in Southern Florida is a paper shredder.
That's true.
It's rare, but people need to know that. I want to I don't want to get depressing here for a moment, but
we've been so upbeat so far.
Well, when you were talking about ballot access, the thing that immediately came to my mind was a conversation that I had with Ian Schlackman, who was running as a Green Party presidential candidate, and but the discussion was about Movement for a People's Party and how hard ballot access is to get in general, and we saw pretty much immediately after the sudden, unfortunate, and super tragic passing away of Kevin Zeese, the Green Party get kicked off of ballots in a number of states. And I can't help but think that were Kevin still around to fight, that would have been a much more difficult coup for the Democratic Party to pull off. And I know that you took part in a memorial for Kevin the other week. I was able to watch some of it. One of the women that helped put it together, Debbie Tolson, is a friend of mine. I talked to her just yesterday. But if and I had I had a good and contentious relationship with Kevin. But if you could you take a minute or two and just speak on him for a moment, that would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the contentious, I think a lot of people had their disagreements with Kevin on various things. But when you're going to be that outspoken and that much of an activism on so many issues, you're going to have disagreements, and that, as that shouldn't undermine or hurt his legacy. He was, I agreed with him on almost everything, but not everything. And he was an amazing activist who was really, he put his body on the line endlessly. He and Margaret Flowers were at the front of so many fights. And most Americans don't know this because it's not, the mainstream media is not going to herald the people that successfully protest to change the way that the corporate entities are taking our country. So most of America's probably never heard of Kevin or maybe heard of these protests, but they saw the results. They saw the results in us pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Now, that, the largest corporate takeover ever conceived under Obama, written by corporate lawyers, not allowed for the public to see. And yes, it was Donald Trump that ultimately ripped the thing up. So I think that makes a lot of left-wing people hate that he did that. But the truth is, he never read the thing. He doesn't even know what it was. All he knew was that it was something Obama created, so he hated it for that reason, and B, that his voting base was talking a lot about TPP and how Hillary supported it and everything. So he just went where the voters went. And the reason the voters were even talking about TPP was because of a protest movement that really began and got off the ground by Kevin Zeese and Margaret Flowers. They were, as far as I know, the only website devoted to fighting against the TPP. They had many of the on-the-ground protests, and that grew and grew, and people became more and more aware, and that resulted in Trump feeling that he should deliver to his voters, tearing up the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So that was a massive success. Another one was net neutrality. They succeeded in they were part of the fight to keep net neutrality, and they succeeded for a couple of years until the corporate entities got more of their ducks in a row in order to crush net neutrality. But, you can just go down the list. The Embassy Protection Collective was incredible as well. That fight in the Venezuelan embassy and all of these things, he and Margaret, they put their bodies on the line. They're arrested. They're beaten. They're tackled. I was at the FCC with them one time where all they did was stood up with a poster, I think said protect net neutrality. And that was enough for the cops to charge them and really just jump on them like a open field football tackle because they dared hold up a sign that said protect net neutrality. So, yeah, just an incredible human being.
And this is super weird, but this is from Elizabeth Mueller. So 5 out of the original 16 people who came together for the Stop TPP movement have all passed away. And out of
those, are the
others? She doesn't name them, and I wish she did. But she's got 5 out of 16 dead, 2 almost killed, 2 threatened with extradition, 1 media outlet branded as a Russian asset. I'm going to assume that's RT. Just a wild guess there. 1 politician capitulated to the DNC and now parrots phony Russiagate propaganda despite being a victim of it. That may be Bernie Sanders. I believe he did speak out against the TPP as a primary candidate in 2016. But what, and I think it's worth revisiting that, certainly not now, but at a later date, it's certainly worth revisiting exactly what the TPP was and what it was going to do, including this sort of tribunal process that would allow corporations to sue individual states and the federal government for stepping on their toes a little bit. And that's
we've seen
of all American sovereignty to an unelected branch of, international corporatists.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some of it with just the World Trade Organization, but it would have taken it to a whole new level where corporations can sue, let's say, America for getting in the way of their profits because, let's say, a state passed a clean water law. So now that mining company can't pollute the water, so they then sue under the World Trade Organization, and they can win, the right to pollute the water or to go past those regulations. And the TPP would have taken that to a whole new level. Like you said, it was 13 nations, 40% of the world's economy, and it would have, ceded our sovereignty to a 3-panel corporate judge tribunal. I mean, three judge.
Yeah. And as fucked as our normal criminal justice system is, and as skewed as the processes by which people who don't really have means can go through litigation to sort of get a semblance of I don't know, maybe victory, this would have eliminated that fully. We would have just been entirely rudderless and being pulled along by sociopathic corporate greedheads.
And to bring it back to WikiLeaks as well, WikiLeaks was the only one to actually publish part of the TPP because it was not being shown to the American people at all.
Yeah, and boy did they catch shit for that too. It's one of those things where if you're unfamiliar with WikiLeaks and you've only heard the smears, but you are in general anti-corporate takeover of every aspect of our lives, when you hear about the work that they did publishing the TPP, or you hear about the work with the Afghan and Iraq war logs or collateral murder, that should be enough to break through 2016 election propaganda. I hope. It's usually my hope. I don't know. I am an activist. I have to have like a little, the nougat center of hope surrounding the dark, empty void where my heart used to be.
Well, yeah, people still believe, they've believed all these, falsehoods or lies or just omissions by the mainstream media about Assange and about WikiLeaks. Most people that argue about how terrible WikiLeaks is think they'll say, well, why didn't they publish anything about Russia? They actually did. They published plenty of stuff about Russia. They'll say, well, they were just trying to help Donald Trump. And it's like they publish things that are bad for the American government writ large. They weren't just trying to help Trump. And in fact, they point to the one email between him and Donald Trump Jr., between Assange and Donald Trump Jr., and they say, look, he was coordinating with Donald Trump Jr. No, actually, what he was saying to Donald Trump Jr. was give us Trump's tax returns so we can publish them. So really, he was asking someone to reveal something about Trump.
Yeah.
So it's complete lies, and people people also still don't seem to understand that WikiLeaks has never published anything false. All of it's been 100% true. And you compare that to CNN or NBC or CBS or PBS or Fox News. They can't go 30 seconds without pushing out some sort of horse shit. So to act like WikiLeaks is the villain here is just pathetic and laughable.
I agree fully. I do. I think that WikiLeaks record, that 100% accuracy, is part of what leads to people who are in, corporate or independent media kind of not wanting to cover them because they've set a standard that's basically unattainable. And then on the flip side of that, the people who get closer to the WikiLeaks kind of inner circle, as it is, the more that you meet the people who work behind the scenes with WikiLeaks, the attitude that Julian had going into it, where we want privacy for the weak and transparency for the powerful, and yes, as a matter of fact, data does want to be free, that sort of permeates in a I guess subculture where the people who are in that atmosphere want to and strive to have the same accuracy and the same integrity that WikiLeaks has brought to the table.
Yeah, Noam Chomsky, he wasn't referring to this, he was referring to something else, but he called it the threat of the good example, where if WikiLeaks and Julian Assange were allowed to exist, then you would have other media outlets doing the same thing. And you're right, seeking to be like them. And that horrified the American empire and the British Empire to that not just that WikiLeaks would exist, but that this would become the trend, that everything that they're doing, war crimes and coup plotting and economic destruction and environmental destruction, that it would all become transparent and revealed to the public, and that you would actually have informed voters. And to them, that is a horror show. That is their worst nightmare. That is they go to theaters to watch horror movies based on that plot. And so transparency is just terrible for them. And they knew that they needed to stop him, not just for what he was revealing, what WikiLeaks reveals, but also for the example it set. And in those first couple of years when WikiLeaks was operating, you had all these journalistic outlets working with them. You had The Guardian working with them. You had New York Times and Washington Post publishing stories based on what they revealed. And you had the New York Times and others saying, okay, we now have a platform just like WikiLeaks where you can send us classified stuff that you want to leak. And they were trying to become WikiLeaks. And this was terrible for the ruling elite.
That's such a good point. If you go to the Washington Post website right now, this minute, there's right at the bottom of the screen, they have a link to a secure drop, where if you're a whistleblower or if you're someone with inside information, you can email it to them securely and they will then work with you to publish it.
But the difference with theirs is that if they were to get something classified, they would instantly reveal it to the government, who the leaker was. Whereas WikiLeaks proudly says that unless the leaker gives them the information, they don't know who the leaker was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know we're running short on time here, but I'm glad that you brought that up, because there is an outlet that is outside of the mainstream, yet responsible for burning whistleblowers like I do joints. And that in no way, shape, or form reflects on a couple of the people who work there, one of them being Glenn Greenwald. But do you have an opinion on the Intercept as an outlet, as an institution, in the way that they... I don't know. The thing that really pisses me off is removing the Snowden archive. Fucking camera. I told you this would happen. There it is.
My opinion is step one: nobody should ever leak to the Intercept. As John Kiriakou, the whistleblower, has said, the Intercept is a catastrophe for leakers. Every time someone leaks to the Intercept, they are captured, and whether that's incompetence or by design, either way, do not leak to the Intercept. Number two is that there are some good people there, and I highly respect Glenn Greenwald, and I think he does a lot of good work, and I think people should, he's one of the few journalists that people should follow and keep up to date on. And in a lot of ways, he's put his, money and life where his mouth is. I mean, Brazil, the government, he now lives in Brazil because one of the reasons is because he certainly didn't feel comfortable living here after revealing Snowden's secrets. And then now he's in Brazil and he's revealed stuff about that government that has also made him a target. So I don't think he's some kind of bad actor, and I think he's done a lot of important work. But that being said, I agree with you. I have no idea why 7% or something of the Snowden archive has not been revealed. I don't think Snowden's ever spoken about it either, and I would love to know the reason behind that. But I think the reason they've given is pathetic, that they don't have enough money to research it or something. So it's a shame and it's pathetic, and someone needs to step up and say what the fuck is going on with that.
To be fair, Pierre Omidyar throws the bulk of his money into color revolution, so paying a researcher to go through the Snowden archives might be low on his priority.
Yeah, he doesn't have any cash left after doing all that.
Well, Lee, I know you got to get out of here. I want to thank you very, very much for being on the show. Everybody that's watching right now, stick around. I got kind of high the first night I was in DC and made like 30 people moderators for this channel. So we're going to bring some of them in for a panel, and that should be fun. But Lee, in case people have been living under a rock for the last like 6-7 years, please tell them everywhere they can find you, where they can find your stuff, and any final thoughts you may have.
Yeah, thanks, man. The quickest way to just find all my stuff is leecamp.com. I do new live videos almost every day on various topics. I have a TV show that I'd love for people to check out called Redacted Tonight. And I have 2 podcasts, Common Censored and Government Secrets. But if you don't want to remember all that, just go to leecamp.com and it's all there. Also, people can now watch my stand-up comedy special for free if you go to leecampamerican.com.
Highly recommended, people. It's good.
And I want to thank you for introducing me to Krish Mohan.
Chris,
I love that guy.
Krish has become a good buddy over the last year, and he cracked me up when I saw him in Santa Cruz, and he's bailed us out on the Assange Vigil so many times where we've had a guest cancel like last minute, and we're like, fuck, who can I get on tonight? And Chris is just pretty much always there, dude. He's an incredible human being.
Sweet. Yeah, excellent.
All right, well, I'll let you get out of here, and
thanks for all your work, guys.
Thank you.
And thank you, Lee. Thank you. And we will get on.
Keep fighting.
Mod panel.
Keep fighting.
And in the meantime, while we're doing that, if anyone has any questions or anything like that, we can turn the next, 5-10 minutes or so until the mods start popping into a brief AMA. I would like to go through some business now while we're waiting on this. I do have a Patreon that I never post to, so if you are supporting Slow News Day on Patreon, please stop and support me on Rockfin. Rockfin works similarly to Patreon in that you do endorse a content creator, but instead of having separate payments for each content creator, supporting one content creator gets you access to everybody else's premium content. It's I think a much more fair and equitable way of dealing with it. So please check me out over there, as I am censored as fuck on YouTube.
All right, I sent links out to Big Rob and Glory.
Nice.
There's Glory.
Glory Jones.
Hey, Glory. Aw, she's even rocking her WikiLeaks shirt.
Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna be in South Central in 2-3 hours now, because we'll be occupying the sheriff's station. So.
Hell yeah. Right on. Hey, if you ever need to stream that shit live, hit me up.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Convo Couch is back from Denver yet, but they're always streaming these things.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was stoked they've been able to get out and travel more. I'm fuck, dude. They're killing it with live protest coverage. They're like the only people out there doing that. It makes me very happy. I think the radicalization of a handful of content creators is a wonderful thing to view.
I like Angry Fee.
Yeah.
She's killing it.
Like, Fiorella is my anger translator, or I don't know. Just because, and especially like you said, they do a great job of tying it all to Julian Assange as well. We hosted like a bunch of on-the-ground journalists, and she was asking them all about Julian Assange, and it was like a little cog machine we had going, where she asked them in the interview, and they come out of the interview into the back, and I'm there like, oh, so what did you think about that Julian Assange question? And then Pasta's there as well.
Oh, look at that beard.
Man.
Man, you've gotten that beard epic.
Big Rob giving Ray McGovern a run for his money.
Right?
Check it out. It's a beard.
I fucking love that, my friend. This is the first time I've ever seen your face, Rob Juno. I'm pleased.
Me too.
You guys are sweethearts. I love
you. You look like a buddy of mine named Tom O'Connor, who unfortunately now lives in New London, Connecticut, and fortunately is one of like 3 carpenters permanently working on Taylor Swift's residence.
Oh my God, are you serious?
I'm dead serious, dude. Tommy has this like fantasy where Taylor Swift is gonna be like, "You're my next ex-boyfriend, and I'm gonna write a whole album about you."
Oh my God. Oh, that's fucking lovely.
On that one though.
Nice.
Right? No, I mean, I would sign up. I would sign up for that heartbreak. I would. No, I wouldn't. I can't stand Taylor Swift. Dude,
my 13-year-old makes fun of her constantly.
Man, if a 13-year-old's kicking that broad around, then like somebody, it's fucking.
I don't know who still listens to her, if I'm being honest, and I'm saying that as a Zoomer. So
the people that think Hogwarts is real still listen to Taylor Swift.
But that's the thing is, I'm a genuine fan of Harry Potter, and I still don't understand who listens to her.
But I'm pretty sure you understand that Hogwarts isn't real, right? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm the one that's being an asshole here. I don't know.
You guys, you gotta go slow for the old guy, all right?
No problem, Rob.
Let me try and help you out there, Rob.
Yeah, man. Now we're talking.
Yeah, I started the show telling Lee that I don't get high before shows anymore, and that's true. But I don't recall saying anything about during.
That is fair.
Technicalities.
Back and forth between the chat, and maybe that'll slow me down a bit.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
We've got a suggestion for McGovern and Rob to have a beard off.
Oh man, come on!
I'm not entirely sure what that would look like, but I hope it involves boxing gloves and a camel.
You may just get what you wish for.
Oh, that's fucking random, Steve.
There's a Ray Wiley Hubbard song called Mother Blues, where Ray opens by saying, "When I was 21 years old, all I wanted was a stripper girlfriend and a gold top Les Paul. Be careful of the things you wish for. You just might get them."
That's funny. Hey, we should get Misty on here. She's in the chat.
Misty, pop in if you want to. Josh will I'll DM you the link real quick. That song ends, by the way, with another one of my favorite lines in music ever, which is, "The days when I keep my gratitude higher than my expectations, I have really good days."
Ah, who cares, Misty? She's like, I haven't showered.
No,
No
yeah,
one
right,
cares.
like I have.
Yeah, me neither.
This is why I'm wearing a hat and a shirt over the shirt that I was wearing yesterday when I was on camera.
It's the
I
weekend.
did. It was only to wet my hair though, so you're good, Misty.
So tell us about the activism stuff you've done, Glory.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. It picked up really in the last month when I went back to LA, because there was like a month period or so in Miami where I kind of stopped going to protest just because of I had family that was very concerned. And Miami PD is like the equivalent of the fucking mafia, and they were literally like arresting 10 protesters daily. So I had to stop for a bit. And then I got to LA and I still had school, but I was like, okay, this is still a green card. So I go out like 3 or 4 times a week, basically anytime I don't have class in the night. And I always just go there with like WikiLeaks shirts and like my little like Julian flyers on standby. And there's hardly ever corporate media there, but anytime they are there, I'm like, oh, hey, are you pressed?
Nice.
Love you for it,
Oh, are
Glory.
you pressed? Then there's this case that's like really threatening the freedom of you guys, and I just want to tell you about it. And half the time they're receptive, and the other half of the time they give me like an Anna Kasparian answer, and they like,
Well, let me look into that.
yeah, they'll give me the yeah, we're following it, and then they'll cross the street and never come back.
Yeah. I was
We
surprised
love
they
you.
actually put out a halfway decent video on that. So and
Yeah.
that's all you and Kimber, man. Like,
I was surprised they went like a solid couple minutes without Jank mentioning Russia.
but he
And then
he did get a little one in there. It wasn't that bad though.
It wasn't that bad. It was problematic, but for Jank it was
pretty
all
good.
right.
Yeah, I mean, and at least let their audience hear the man's name. You know what I mean?
I know.
So
And the fact that they at least said whatever your personal feelings are, that isn't the problem. We need to be supporting him. The fact that they at least said that is more than I can say for a lot of people. So
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, hopefully people will just cover him instead of just throwing a hissy fit whenever we try to call them out.
Oh my god, right? It's
Yeah,
like it's like we're activists. We're not in that industry. I don't care if I burn some bridges there.
The way that I look at it, honestly, is if their first response is to go, "You're attacking me," that's an admission that they're not doing their fucking job.
Yeah.
Like, right off the bat. Like if your response isn't, "Fuck,
I need to cover this more.
I know
Yeah.
we need to do better," then you're not fucking. This is why I keep trying to make a distinction between journalists and pundits, and add on top of that distinction that pundits don't have the same fears that journalists have about this case, because all pundits are doing is taking somebody else's content and
Their jobs are
sharing
guaranteed.
their feels over.
Yeah, I mean my biggest
Yeah.
my biggest issue with the distinction though is a lot of those pundits are sucking up all the air out of the room. So you know they're putting out so much fucking content without Assange. People don't have time to even look at the little guys that are actually talking about it, and that's the
why we're
problem.
here, Josh.
Yeah, and that's the problematic part for me, though. It's like, so I understand that pundits don't have anything to lose, basically, but I'm still going to pressure them just because. Why not?
Well,
Yeah,
even
man.
if you don't have as much to lose as like a real indie journalist, everybody's still getting fucked by this case.
Normal people are
And-
going to get fucked by this case, you know, like.
Yeah, and that's why I'm able to like go to essentially, Black Lives Matter protests and still talk about this stuff, because it's really connected to a whole host of issues. And that's why, when certain man says that like, oh, I've tried to focus more on Black issues lately. That's why I haven't been talking about Julian. Bull fucking shit. I have a WikiLeaks shirt with tear gas on it to prove you otherwise. Shut up.
Yeah, it's like put your money where your mouth is, buddy.
You know, I've gotten into a couple of, I guess, arguments with people who have shows about this, and they're like, well, you're hyper focused, and I'm, you know, which to an extent it is accurate, but I still manage to like get Vanessa Beeley on to talk about Syria and Turkey and Yemen and shit, and I still manage to like have conversations outside of that. I do feel like it's possible to walk and chew gum at the same fucking time, and if you can do, you know, 9 videos a day about Elizabeth Warren, you can do 5 minutes on Julian Assange. Exactly. You can't. It shouldn't be that fucking hard. Rob, you're like everywhere on YouTube. What are you looking for out of content creators?
You know what gets me going the most is what you've been doing the whole time, Steve. You got no internal editor, and so what you're thinking
Oh, that's a great term. Internal editor. That is fucking gold. That's gold, Rob.
It's what I love, man.
It's,
I love that you bring it every time too. It just doesn't quit. It's fucking awesome, man. Thank you.
No, thank you for being here. Is there anything like while I've got you here, because it's like Romplicone fucking taught me this. Like, it's the audience that curates the show. It's the audience that produces the show. And I think that his relationship with his audience is vastly different from the majority of people who are quote unquote independent media, wherein that he actually values them. Like we just heard with another guy with a show telling Glory, you know, I didn't have to read your super chat. And Anna Kasparian said the same thing to Mean Panda. I don't even have to read your super chat. Like that's how you fucking treat your audience? Are you goddamn kidding me?
Well, he said it in all caps too, and told me that I can go kiss his ass along with anybody else that participated in the smear thread. So,
Jesus Christ, seriously?
Just do your fucking job, homie, and nobody will have to bring it up. You know?
I know.
I don't know. I mean, it's almost like it's the biggest fucking press freedom trial in my goddamn lifetime, and I feel like
it's only the free press.
Yeah, no, Misty's in the chat saying, I don't care who you are, I'm gonna call you out. Fucking.
She sure does.
Misty's newest target, I think, is my favorite target of hers to date.
Is that Carter?
I'm gonna let everybody figure out who that is, though. But yeah, his girlfriend blew us off on a vigil too, so.
Have at it, Misty.
Misty, go off.
I think Misty's. It's a toss-up with Misty and Medhurst on who's my anger translator.
I also want
all due respect to both, because I love both of you, Misty, Richie. I love both of you, but Fee's my anger translator.
Oh, for sure. No, Fee's solid. I've known Misty for a lot of years. So
yeah,
she's
I've known
my homie.
Fee the longest, though.
Nice.
I want to throw a huge pile of love at Josh too, man.
Well, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
And likewise, you've been there on every damn stream that you can make, and that's awesome.
Doing my best.
You're even on some of them early morning ones, man. That's rough. You're in the same. I think you're in the same time zone as me and Steve, so that's dedication.
Yeah, man, that's pushing. But I sleep very weird anyway, so don't worry.
I get that.
Yeah, I love sleeping, so I give you guys a lot of credit for doing those streams.
Yeah, it's rough. Like I
6 a.m. and be like, ooh, should I go on the chat?
Oh hell yeah!
No longer communicate with anyone who has anything resembling a routine sleep schedule. Like I don't. It's like we're all just up at ungodly hours and fucking, I don't know, it's almost like being in the military where if you can take 20 minutes, you learn how to take 20 minutes and then you just fucking get up and go again. Fucking, I have literally like slept leaning against Andrew for about 15 minutes before at DC. Just didn't even realize it, sort of fucking fell out.
I also have a huge amount of respect for your little sister Taylor.
She's doing good work.
She's doing really good work.
Woo!
She's going right to the source wherever she can, and I think that's awesome.
Oh yeah, she getting trolled like a motherfucker. She's doing something right.
Yeah,
man.
no, they're making fake accounts of Taylor Hudak now, and that's another way you can tell that her work is effective and it's fucking having the right kind of impact. And all it really takes is just putting a microphone in front of people's faces, like
asking good questions.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that Taylor's media coaching came straight from Susie, who had a lot of experience in that. You know,
Susie Dawson, we love you.
And the education that she received from actual journalists, not the Kent State School of Journalism, is really what sold that. Hopefully, at some point, we can get her on to talk about her grad program there at Kent State and what she went through, just trying to
that shit's wild. Like I think she mentioned it during a vigil a little bit. Like that's a crazy story.
Glory too. I have such admiration for your courage.
Hell yeah.
Beautiful.
I just have very, very, very little value on my own life, and I think that most of the people I associate with put very low value on their own lives. And it's like, fuck it.
You out the streets, Glory. That's hey, it's like the Zoomers, man, and the kids. They're the ones that give me a little bit of hope for this country. Like even my kid, she's not super radicalized or anything, but even she, like the climate change shit, she's glommed onto that pretty hard, and she talks to her friends about it, and she spreads information about it, and that's not something I didn't do that shit at her age.
I want to say I'm really inspired by a lot of the young people I've had the chance to meet and get to know.
Yeah, totally. Like Glory. I mean, that's you're killing it, and you're young.
Woo! I think it's a collective just pissed offness, however you would call it.
Yes.
We just really don't want to take shit from anyone.
That's awesome.
Me in particular, I don't know what it is. I just run out of patience day by day. Even so hence why some call outs may come across as attacks. It's
great to see Lee too.
Yeah.
Lee's good.
Yeah, that's been a long time.
Oh, we got a Misty.
Nice.
Where's Misty?
Oh, I see the SS.
There she is.
So let me tell you guys, because I touched on it at the beginning when Lee was on, but a couple of years ago, like almost exactly 2 years ago, really, if I remember right, although it might have been October, I have had some serious shit go on in my life since then, so my familiarity with the date may be a little askew. But Lee came and played the Kiwamba Jazz Center in Santa Cruz, and the original co-host of the show, a woman named Sarah Hall, went down with me, and we got fucking junior high stoned.
Awesome.
And had prearranged a 15 or 20 minute green room interview with Lee before he went on stage. And I had nothing to record this thing on. So I broke every conceivable traffic law on the planet to get to Best Buy to buy an overpriced digital recorder, and then rebroke all of those laws again on the way back to the Kiwamba. And got there fucking panic sweat rolling off of me, and barely able to get the batteries into this thing. and it's still on that machine because I have no idea what happened to it because my 7-year-old at the time decided it was his new toy. But like the only questions we could get out to Lee were like, would you like this chocolate bar that my co-host's husband put a lot of weed into because it's pretty yummy and I think you'd appreciate it. And so the reason I haven't asked him on the show is because I was afraid that he remembered too. He would be like, there's no way in hell I'm gonna do this fucking Mook show. Yeah, so it was nice to actually get him on mostly because of what we've all been able to do with the help of everybody on this fucking chat right now through Action for a Song. So that was really.
Speaking of action, how come he's still in jail, huh? How come the U.S. government and the U.K. government aren't in jail for war crimes, and how come he's not free and being celebrated? And never mind.
Because the International Criminal Court is
the answer to that, unfortunately.
the ICC is an organization made of paper.
I'll be back in like a minute.
For sure. The ICC doesn't have any fucking teeth to it or legs to it. It's just it's I don't know, it's almost a theoretical organization as opposed to an actual governing body or judiciary body that can deliver, any semblance of justice. We've had open threats by the last two attorneys general. Both Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr have threatened the ICC. John Bolton said that they would do everything from sanction to destroy them. Individual members of the ICC have become U.S. intel agency targets. So when you're the biggest bully on the block and you've got not just nuclear arms, but rogue intelligence agencies that are doing more of the governing than the people elected to govern. I mean, that's ultimate. That's at the core. Like, we talk about individuals because individuals are accessible, but it's ultimately these institutions, as Ray McGovern puts it, like the Mickey Mat. Like, that's what we need to remind people that this is the fucking problem. I should pull up the Mickey Mat acronym because I don't have it memorized, even though I should.
Well, Steve, I don't care what you got memorized. I love your balls, man. You too, Barry. And you too, Misty.
Yeah, Rob loves Misty's balls. Going on a t-shirt.
That's the best thing ever, and I think I need a shirt.
Yeah.
My balls.
Make it history. Yep.
I've been talking with, we've all been talking with Kendra about, like, different t-shirt ideas, and we're definitely going to have, like, Andrew's fucking militantly trained raccoons involved somehow. If you don't know this, Andrew Smith keeps pet raccoons in his office.
No.
And he's slowly teaching them rudimentary mechanics and how to fire very small pistols with their little raccoon fingers. Shit's going to get real.
Kendra, I want to say, Kendra, this is a personal message to you. Your laughter lifts my heart every time. So don't ever be afraid to let it rip, okay?
Aw.
She does have an awesome laugh.
The first time I saw her on Slow News Day, I think it was, might have been A for A, but the first time I saw her, she laughed a big laugh, and I just, everything's going to be okay. You know?
Oh, yeah.
As long as there's a laugh like that in the world, we're going to be all right.
She's funny. She's funny, too. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I don't know. I got, after the vigil yesterday, like, I'm not as hopeless about it. I mean, the way that Tariq and Mo kind of put things into... Yeah. We were watching it context, like, I don't know, it doesn't seem...
Also, I wanted to I also wanted. Sorry, Josh. I
No, you're good.
Because I'm about to die. But the thing I wanted to say was that Jack Sith pointed me at an article by Jonathan Cook, and it also just laid everything right out. There's no way to hide the Guardian's self-aggrandizing bullshit. With the David Lee thing and the what's his name, Harding.
Oh, Luke Harding.
Yeah. That man.
Oh, Mate.
It's like the. Oh, never mind. I want to get really bitchy, but I'm just gonna say thank
Do you know what, dude? I don't know if you've ever seen this show before or not. Right?
Luke Harding is my favorite thing to bitch about. It's like, taking candy from a baby. It's so easy.
Right? Like, 'cause I think I told you this, Misty, about like Bernie Sanders. Like, it feels like punching down, but it's not, because
the thing with Bernie is I didn't witness it in person, but I witnessed it on a live stream Combo Couch segment. A horny Katie Hopkins made a better statement on Assange than the leader of the fucking progressive movement did. Like 30 seconds before that, she's talking about how Muslims ruined her country. And then she's talking about how, while visiting Tommy fucking Robinson in prison, she noticed how terrible like Julian's condition was. And she still made a better statement on, the biggest show trial against press freedom than Bernie Sanders. So
the big thing about Bernie Sanders is it's not about punching him. It's about getting his fangirls to recognize that he is not who he pretends to be. I'm not under any delusion that Bernie Sanders is going to answer me. I've been contacting both of his offices since the arrest, and I have gotten crickets. So I'm under no delusion he's going to respond, but I'm still going to keep after him, because if even just one person sees my repeated harassment of him and is like, oh, maybe Bernie Sanders sucks a little bit more than I thought, that's a win for me. I mean, that's what that's about. That's all that's about.
I just want him to fucking acknowledge Sanders' name, like any of the supporters. Like they have been the hardest to get through to. It's weird.
Walking around
and the squad light.
Huh?
I said squad and squad light. So squad like AOC and them, and squad light. So like Cori Bush, Paula Jean.
Yeah, the JV. Yeah, that's the JV squad. Yeah.
They're very JV.
I've been DMing them all on Instagram because I think I don't know which one works better, whether I spam them on Twitter or makes them really heartfelt, like DM like, oh yeah, I actually know one of your friends, Jen Perlman, like this is really important to you as an activist. You should really, really know the importance of this case, and I really look up to you as like a Black woman fighting in Corey. And
you got to meet people where they're at sometimes.
I tried that approach. I have been trying that approach, Laura. I tried being nice. I really did, you guys.
Daryl.
I really did try being nice first.
Yeah, we know.
And it didn't work. So now you get my bad side.
Right? No, I think each and every one of us have just got right in there and fucking tongued a little bit of asshole, even though we didn't feel good about it. And fucking, it's just... I
even tweeted Peter Dow. I tweeted Peter Dow and asked him nicely. Like, I have gone way past my comfort zone. I have tweeted at the likes of Tucker Carlson and all the news at Fox News. And I'm
Hillary Clinton and Neera Tanden.
You know what I love? Is that talking to those people, like addressing those people or going up to those people, isn't outside of Misty's comfort zone. What's outside of Misty's comfort zone is being polite about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it might be a toss up on the enforcer between Kendra and Misty. I think they might have to team up.
Right, right. Every good hockey squad has more than one goon.
It's true.
I would be afraid of being Kendra.
Are you short on time, Rob? Are you out of here?
My battery is running out.
All right, brother.
Everyone's loving you. They think you should do your own show too.
Oh, I'm working up this.
Thank you for blessing us with your beard.
Yeah, we had no idea Rob was a wizard.
And if Rob needs help producing that show, I would totally do that.
Thank you all very, very much.
I would
Free
just-
Julian
I would just be
Assange.
robbing the
Free Julian
Canadian wolves
Assange.
with a banjo in one hand and a shotgun in the other. Tell me
That's
stories.
right. Electric banjo.
I've
Nice.
seen. You know what? So this is. If you guys watched the interview I did with John McAfee, the pre-show for that was out of fucking hand because there's a guy who lives down the road from me, who worked with McAfee. Like he was one of the first 4 or 5 people to work for McAfee antivirus software, like in the 80s. And so John and this dude, like when I dropped his name, John was like, it was the first time I saw him look, I don't know, confused. Like McAfee's, he's a fucking, I don't know.
Gotta go.
Amazing.
I love you.
Love you,
Rob.
Rob.
Love you too, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Let me get back into the story here real quick though, because McAfee is like not a guy who gets surprised easily. You know? So dropping that name, throwing that curveball at him was fucking fantastic. And at the end of that interview, when he's like, "Eat less, fuck more," that's who he's specifically addressing, is a gentleman that will never watch my show, because I had him so mad that he stood in his driveway screaming about Russians. I'm serious, man. This is a dude with a heart condition who's like forcing himself to scream about imaginary Russians in his driveway. It was uncomfortable until I realized he was going to pull through, and then it was hilarious. But on his wall is, well, probably not anymore because for different reasons his house burnt down. But there was a flying V mandolin that somebody had made, and it was like the coolest fucking thing that I've ever seen, and it was acoustic electric, like fucking had the electronics in it. You could fucking tone and volume knobs on it. Flying V mandolin. I gotta have one someday. I tried to get, every time I did work on that guy's house, I was like, don't pay me, give me the mandolin. Not giving up the mandolin. I'm not giving up the mandolin. I saw his son-in-law right after their house burnt down. I'm like, you know what? That mandolin would still be around right now if he'd have fucking.
So Misty, how's your latest target?
He's taking a nap, and then maybe he'll say something later.
I guess it is nap time in Virginia.
Yeah,
I've been pretty surprised he won't say nothing.
Listen, I have been friends with his girlfriend for a long time on Twitter, and she's lovely, and he's lovely. I don't have a problem with them necessarily, but it shouldn't take me asking. That's my biggest problem. It shouldn't take me asking. That's all. I mean, this is the biggest, like you guys have been saying, it's the biggest press freedom case in history.
They're supposed to be progressive as shit. They both,
and he is on other issues. That's why I find it so surprising and depressing that it's taken me repeatedly tweeting at him and then somebody tagging his girlfriend to get her to tell on him or something. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have to do that. So that's still depressing.
Like personally messaging, or in the case of pundits or journalists, it shouldn't take me literally going onto your live stream and sending my own fucking money to you to have you cover Assange. It shouldn't be that hard. Like, if you really,
especially if you're even pretending to be progressive, whatever the fuck progressive means, if you're pretending to be that, this should be a no-brainer. This is really not a difficult issue. I mean, it's either you want to have the ability to hold powerful people to account or you don't. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, I shouldn't have to ask. And again, it's not about them personally. It's not about her personally. It's not, and I didn't want to have to, ask her to ask him, and because I'm sure she gets sick of people doing that. And
right.
So,
will you please talk to your boyfriend about?
Yeah, I don't like that. Like that felt really weird to me, and she was offended. And I'm not saying she doesn't have a right to be offended by that because we are friends. But to me, I shouldn't have to ask his girlfriend to talk to him about the most.
Well, you cut out there for a second, Misty, but this is exactly how I felt about in terms of like, because Eleanor Goldfield's been on this show a number of times, and she's been on the Vigils a few times, and nobody wanted to be like, could you maybe ask your boyfriend to come on the show? You know, like that.
No.
That just wasn't an option.
No, I mean she kills it on her own anyway.
Absolutely.
Misty's internet's being stupid. I think it does that sometimes.
Misty's internet's definitely being stupid.
Frozen at.
She'll be back. Her internet's fucking terrible out there.
I'm gonna boot her from the stream and tell her to come back on.
That normally works.
I like talking to Misty. She's my homie.
Me too.
It's good to talk to you too, Glory. You've been killing it. I'm like super impressed. I'm super impressed with just your activism in general. Like,
oh, thank you.
I don't know how you find time to sleep.
I just do. Well, basically, my life for the last couple months now, I've just been going back and forth between like school, homework, protesting, everything I'm doing, trying to spread the word about Assange, and oftentimes I'm actually watching your streams while I'm in class, except for the Sunday ones. So
that's crazy.
Zoom makes it really easy for multitasking. So I'll have like one tab here that's my actual class, and then one tab here that's just like a convo couch stream or
Nice.
One of the Assange vigils. So that's pretty, or like a Richard Medhurst stream. So that's pretty much what I'm watching most of indie media is actually during my class or during my free time. So I essentially have no social life outside of whatever.
I get it. I get that. Like
Yeah.
just the streaming, man, it's a lot of time.
I haven't picked up a fucking musical instrument in like 2 years, and I feel bad about that. But like, I can't.
That's how I am with art, man. I haven't drawn anything in years. Like, I feel bad
Well, I
for it.
suck at drawing, but I do love music. So, and I'll listen to music while I'm in class and listening to your streams. So,
God, I don't know how you
There's-
multitask like that.
multitasking essentially.
Well, I envy you. I went back to school some years ago when my daughter was young, and man, that shit alone was fucking rough. Just the time involved. So, props to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I will say I am privileged in this sense, but school does come easily to me. I am an honor student, so and because of that, I'm actually on scholarship. That's why I'm able to even go to school in the first place. So it's like,
Hell yeah! Well, congrats.
It does come easily to me, which is why I'm able to multitask so much.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest with you, man. I was one of those people who like the schoolwork itself was really easy for me. You know, I did really well in school, and that was enough. Like having grades was enough for my parents to be like, "Oh, well, he's earned some extra freedoms," and boy, did I abuse the fuck out of that. But I maintained my grades until I got to Purdue University, where I went, I don't need any of this shit. Everything about this sucks. They're just trying to put me in one climate-controlled box to go to another climate-controlled box to fucking generate income for sociopaths. I'm gonna eat some mushrooms and leave now.
And inject some CIA propaganda into there, especially because I'm an international relations major. So some days it's like, oh, how much propaganda can I be fed in the span of an hour and a half? And from that standpoint, I take cynical enjoyment out of it. That's what I miss about in-person classes, is just being able to debate the neoliberals.
Man, you got fire. I hate doing that shit. It's tiring for me. Like,
Well, it's
It's different in person.
oh, for
yeah.
sure, it's easier.
You know, I mean, if it's like on the
You can see
internet,
the look on their face when it's like, no, I have the source to debunk your bullshit.
Yeah, they hate that. They really hate that. They can't block you in person.
I know. Well, like even in Twitter and in person, it's like not intimidating to me just in the standpoint like, yeah, I stood at a sheriff's barrier and called them a bootlicking cunt. So what are you going to do to me?
Right? I like your style.
Jeff, since you asked, I am 20 years old. I turned 20 like a month ago, so.
I don't miss those days.
I thought I remembered seeing that on Twitter.
Well, happy belated.
I'm glad I remembered that right. While you're here, Glory Jones.
Yeah, pick her brain.
I meant to ask Rob this too, but like, and that's why I started talking about, you know, the audience actually being the curators of the content and all that kind of shit, because it's true. But is there anything like who would you like to see on the show, or what would you like to see me cover that I'm not?
You know, my answer is honestly, the moment you said that, my instant thought was like Reverend Annie.
Okay. I talked to her yesterday. She knows she's coming. It'll probably be 2 weeks before she'll be on, because Pasta's coming on next week, and maybe Juan Pastorelli for a little bit too.
I'll definitely be in the chat for when Pasta comes on. I accidentally taught him what the phrase "no cap" meant, and now he won't leave me alone with it. So I kind of regret it, but.
Dude, he'll call me randomly and throw something at me, I think just so we can argue about it.
That sounds like a Pasta thing.
But like my phone will ring and I'll pick it up, you know, and I'll be like, "Poiking it." And that's how he opens, and I'm like, "Oh, it's gonna get spicy. All right."
That sounds like Pasta.
It does. I love Pasta, man. We gotta get him back on again.
Yeah,
no, he'll be on next week.
Oh, that's right. You just said that.
I literally can't think of anything else then.
Yeah, I mean, throw that question at Misty too.
When I talked to Reverend Annie yesterday, it looks like not next Sunday, but the Sunday following.
Oh God, I love those ones. Those are long shows too. They're great.
Yeah, no, I got to block out like 2 hours or more for Reverend Annie, and I doubt that she will tell me the same story that she did when we were hanging out in Baltimore.
Oh God damn it!
You should have story time with Reverend Annie, like we want story time with Ray.
Right,
that'd be fun.
Dude. I'm so
it's like 4 hours. Dude.
I'm when she tells stories, because it's like, I don't know, they're the kind of stories that you want to hear from, like, I don't know, retired Black Panther.
Is it right?
She's not retired.
Well,
not retired, but like old.
Yeah. Oh, she feisty as fuck still though. Oh God, like I'm so mad I couldn't go to DC to meet her. Like I'm so fucking mad still. Like I'd love her.
Like when I listen to how she's walking up to like KKK members, that's literally what I'm thinking when I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna just walk up to like these cops and start talking to them about Assange. Yeah. She's genuinely like, I don't know. She's so inspiring.
I'm pumped for days after.
I have a clip of her talking about the Razor Brigade, just like
so good.
On my phone.
Oh, it's so good.
She flat out told me on the phone that until I was an 84-year-old great grandmother, I couldn't tell her shit.
God, I love her.
And she had this is over something that she had gotten wrong. She misinterpreted something, and fucking I tried to point that out to her, and she was like, when you're 84 and you're a great grandmother, then I'll listen to you. But until then, I don't think you know shit about what you think you know about. And it was fucking hilarious, dude. She's fantastic. I love those conversations that we've been able to have here. I do. And I don't know why like more people in indie media haven't fucking been like, I've got to get Reverend Annie on this show.
I know. in a sense, I kind of like it that way, because it's like, I hate seeing Black revolutionary leaders get like endlessly commodified. Like that's essentially what's happened to Angela Davis. I see people like posting screenshots of her behind bulletproof glass, like, oh, this is so inspiring, but then they have like Biden 2020 in their bio, and I'm thinking, no.
Well, that's also in Angela Davis's bio now. You know?
Yeah.
That's sad.
But the University of California system,
Mickey Matt, baby.
UC is the single largest employer for the state of California.
Yep.
Currently, although not when Angela Davis was at UC Santa Cruz, currently Janet Napolitano is the UC system president. Janet fucking Napolitano. Like, we put a war criminal in charge of our university system here for the state. Angela Davis really got into her neoliberal own during her time at UCSC, and that's one of the more like okay, let me be perfectly upfront about this. It feels weird as fuck as a white dude saying this, all right?
Go ahead.
It does, you know? But like, watching people whose radicalism I have truly admired, and their ability to fucking speak truth to power, 100% confident and unafraid of whatever was coming at them. Watching that sort of like de-evolve into the NPR liberal that Angela Davis is right now is fucking gut-wrenching, dude. And the UC system and the way that Santa Cruz, California operates is 100% culpable in that. Like, they may not be entirely to blame, but they put all of their energy into turning this woman into a neoliberal. And to get out of here.
Yeah, that's why I was so surprised. I think it was it was before coronavirus. It was back in February, but UCLA, they had a whole panel talking about, like a 4-hour panel talking about the prosecution of Julian Assange. And I remember because I went there, and it was like, it had like everyone. It had like his lawyers. It had, you know, the man, the myth, the legend, Kerry Shankman, who just absolutely destroyed the prosecution a couple weeks ago. And it had all these great people. And my first thought when I saw the flyer, I'm like, UCLA is letting this happen? I was so shocked. And I'm like, in this room in UCLA Law School, listening to Kerry Shankman talk about how like the Espionage Act and its whole history, and then listening to, it was, I was very impressed and almost like shocked.
That was the thing I was trying to get to cover, and I couldn't make it work. But it's also something that Andrew and I spent like way too much time after the vigil yesterday trying to talk about, and that's the possibility of us doing live teach-ins between now and January when the sentencing is. And we're now at a point to where if we wanted to, we could have a pretty fucking incredible like video panel with hopefully 1 or 2 people live in a room in front of other, in front of a living, breathing, non-cardboard cutout, non-video screen audience. And the only places that have been receptive to that, granted through connections that we've made with other activists or the Courage Foundation or Popular Resistance, what have you, are like the Georgetown Law Library and again the UCLA Law Library. Like, it's weird. Like, one of the places where you're least likely to hear any information whatsoever about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. It's like, if you pay us $3,000, you can come in and talk about it.
That's crazy. So, Misty, what do you think we should cover more?
What do I think you should cover more?
Mm-hmm. Like, guess you'd like, or Like issues you'd like to hear more about?
On Slow News Day?
Yeah.
Oh, the shit that you cover all the time is great. I mean, Steve covers shit that nobody else talks about. And that's why I started my show, because I felt like there was a lot of stuff that was getting completely overlooked and nobody's talking about. And I mean, Steve can't do it all. So we need other people to step up. I mean, like Glory and I have been having issues with all of these independent, indie media people, just trying to get them to say Assange's name. That shouldn't be an issue that we have. You don't
have to pay for it.
You have to literally
pay for it. Like, how goddamn fucking ridiculous is that? You have to
pay them to say, and then he'll only say his first name. He won't bother with the last name. Just please support Julian.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself, Tim Black. You know?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be that.
My chat knows what Julian I was referring to.
Your chat watches the Trailer Park Boys, Tim Black. They don't know who you're talking about.
I'm trying to focus on more black-related issues. Are you fucking kidding me?
You need a free press for that.
For an example, there are a lot of black activists out there who can do both. It's amazing. It's this magical thing where people can multitask. Wow.
I know. May I present to you Nico House?
Yeah, or Margaret Kimberly.
Honestly, that's probably one of the reasons why Tim got especially pissed at me, was because I'm friends with Nico.
Well, that's probably, you're probably right about that. I think a lot of that stuff has more to do with ego than it has to do with anything else. I think there's a lot of like this jealousy stuff that goes around, and you know, it's like the Jimmy Dore, Sam Cedar thing. It's like Sam Cedar is endlessly jealous of Jimmy Dore, so he trashes them all the time, and Jimmy Dore ignores him. It's ridiculous. This is bigger than your man feelings. Okay, get over yourself.
Yes.
Sorry. Other issues. I don't know. Like you guys, I think Steve does a great job on issues. I think he has amazing guests. He has people on that nobody else talks to. I think that's invaluable, especially given that we don't have a lot of people doing that. But yeah, I have a hard time with people who think we shouldn't be holding indie media accountable. We absolutely should. Are you kidding me? We should be holding them every bit as accountable as we do our politicians.
Well,
that's my thing.
If the adage that you're most effective voting at the local level stands, then you can also be most effective at a genre of media that depends on you for their existence.
And that is exactly why I chose to focus on indie media, and I didn't bother. I haven't tweeted at anybody at CNN. I have tweeted at some Fox News people because they do cover Assange on occasion. But I'm not going to go talk to Rachel Maddow or, Wolf Blitzer. I mean, no, that's a waste of my time. But I will go and talk to Tim Black, or, I don't have to talk to Nico House. But if I had to, I would have gone to Nico House. I would have gone to Jimmy Dore if he didn't already cover it. I would have gone after all of these people. Like, you're not special. This isn't like a personal vendetta against you. You have a show. You have a platform. I think you should be using it to speak out for Julian Assange, and so I'm going to bother you about it.
Yeah, and I'm your audience.
I'm not really, though. I don't like Tim Black.
I mean,
I used to. I used to.
For like a year, but only because of Nico. So it's through Nico that I found him, and I started watching him a bit because, like, I genuinely thought like it was good to uplift like leading Black leftist voices. But then he, did the shit he did to Nico, and I was like, oh shit. And then it started reflecting in his content how much of an ass kisser he wanted to be. So then I just stopped talking to him. But then, I came back just to ask him to cover Assange. And I gave him money, and he frames this as like an attack. Bro, I gave you money in the
attack me.
How dare you give me money, god damn it, you motherfucker.
I love it when people who are in like a public position take even like the smallest criticism as an attack. Grow up. You are a public figure. You need to listen and take it in. And if you want to cover it, cover it. If you don't want to cover it, don't cover it. But don't act like we're attacking you, you giant man baby. Like, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Thank you. If I could have been way meaner. Like, I won't say it, but after the shit that Steve told us about Tim, I really could have been way meaner. It's like,
and I would have been. You did great, Corey.
I've looked fully armed sheriffs in the face and called them bootlicking tools for a class that doesn't give a shit about them. You think that what I did to you was mean? Like, no.
I think that what they're doing to Julian Assange is mean. That's what I think is mean. So shut your pie hole.
Well, and look, if it's that, one of the things that I've always tried to do here is to give people a sense of where the real power structures lie. I hope, I don't know.
No, that's very true.
And I don't see enough of independent media doing that, which is why I was doing the show to begin with, because there's this whole wide ass lane for the stuff that, like, quote unquote indie or left media won't touch. And if you're not talking about the national security state, if you're not talking about surveillance capitalism, if you're not talking about the fact that we don't have governments that run intelligence agencies, we have intelligence agencies that are running governments. If that's not a feeling that your audience walks away with at the end of, like, most shows, I don't feel like you're
right, though. The problem with indie media, but they don't, it's not even original content. We've talked about this before. They show, oh, here's the latest stupid segment on Rachel Maddow. Now let's make fun of it for 5 minutes. And here's the dumb thing. You're fine. Here's the last dumb thing that Donald Trump said. Let's make fun of that for 5 minutes. Like, you're not informing your audience. They're not educating anybody. All they're doing is regurgitating, the same bullshit stuff that everybody else is talking about. They're just doing it.
Add in a couple of Medicare for alls and you got it unlocked.
Yeah. And it's not even original content. It's not clever. It's not original. It's not like, you're not doing any good. You have this massive platform. I mean, Kyle Kalinske has a massive platform, and I had to beg him to talk about Julian Assange, and then he made like an 8-minute video. And that's not good enough.
And mind you, put this into context as well. This is the same guy that can spend like 11 minutes talking about like a Joe Biden campaign ad alone.
Yes. Or snake emojis. He has whole videos
on his channel dedicated to campaign ads.
Yes. I mean, he has whole like 25-minute videos about Elizabeth Warren and the mean stuff people said about her. Are you kidding me? That's what you're going to use your platform for? But again, it's that thing where these people know that the way that they get the bigger platform is to try to appeal to the broadest base of people that they can, and they don't want to piss anybody off or alienate anybody, and so they self-censor and they put out this milquetoast crap that isn't educational. You're not informing anybody. It's such a waste of a platform, and that's what makes me the most upset, is that you have this ability to really genuinely do some good in the world, and you're using it to talk about snake emojis. That's not cool.
Yeah. Well, I think that speaks to like my problem with the progressive movement as a whole, is none of them care about fighting the national security state or addressing, the erosion of our civil liberties. It's like, obviously everybody should have health care, but you're not going to get health care if you can't get the right people elected because we have no election integrity in this country. If we're in a fucking nuclear winter because everybody wants to warmonger with Russia, or if you have a fucking police state that's killing everybody and shooting people on the streets for just protesting what they believe, or if you don't have media that can inform people about Medicare for all. The national security state is like this huge ass fucking cloud in the background that's like preventing us from doing anything really, and no progressives want to talk about it. The closest they get is to being like, oh, candidates shouldn't take corporate PAC money. Then why the flying fuck were all of you capping for Ed Markey, the author of the fucking telecommunications cap? And suddenly you freaking like,
he wrote that.
Yeah,
I didn't know he wrote that.
Principal author.
He's a piece of shit, and people were acting like he's the second coming of I don't know, Bernie Sanders or FDR or something. Not that those two are anything worth talking about. But,
He was Bernie with the good hair. He was.
Right, guys.
Yeah, I agree with you, Glory. The progressive movement is incredibly frustrating to deal with because they don't give a shit. And I kind of knew this starting off in 2016 because if you even mention Bernie Sanders' foreign policy record, which is pretty atrocious, they flip the fuck out and they have no idea. They're clueless about his foreign policy record because they don't pay attention. They don't care. It's not an issue they care about. If you say Medicare for all, they'll vote for you. And I can't tell you the number of so-called progressives who have said, if Joe Biden offered Medicare for all, I would vote for him. That's fucking crazy. You're crazy.
It's dumb.
Yes.
It's like, mind you, I don't want my kids growing up in a racial jungle, crime bill, Standing Rock, Libya. But, he says Medicare for all, so it's fine.
And he's a pathological liar. He's a proven liar. And he says he's going to support Medicare for all and you're going to vote for him. You're a schmuck.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's examine this a little bit, like the overarching themes of this a little bit, because the reason you don't see left media discuss the national security state is because their shows are basically volunteer campaign commercials for their pet progressive politicians who, by fucking order of decree, have to pretend the NatSec state doesn't exist. If they want a job in DC,
look at what happened to AOC. She was talking about some foreign policy stuff before she got elected. The minute she got elected, that stuff disappeared from her website. It disappeared from her website. She walked it all back. And now if you ask her about Venezuela, she's going to defer to caucus leadership after avoiding the question for 6 months. I mean, really?
Well, and don't even get me started on the squad light, all these new candidates running that don't even have a section for foreign policy on their fucking page. I remember the night, and Cori Bush too. Cori Bush, the night she won, I looked at her website, no section on foreign policy. So I literally went to Jen Perlman. I said, Jen, I shouldn't have to ask this, but I'll be nice and I'll ask you because I know that you guys are friends with her. But what's Cori Bush's foreign policy? Because there's nothing. And they
don't think they have to have any, and they're right because their voters, the people who will vote for them, don't care.
I want to hear the answer to this. What did Perlman say about that?
She said it was the brand new Congress charter that she agreed to. So whatever foreign policy is in that.
Wow.
Isn't brand new Congress like?
Oh.
Isn't
she doesn't have her own thoughts?
Huh?
She doesn't have her own thoughts. She has to take somebody else's thoughts and adopt them as her own. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not voting for that
standard to agree to a platform and agree to run under that platform. Like I'm not gonna kick sand at her for that. But
I will.
if you can't then incorporate your own thoughts into it on your own goddamn campaign website.
Or just add that on your website. Yeah. If that's what you're following, put that on your website so at least people know where you stand.
My thing is, if you are going to go into the U.S. fucking Congress, you are in a position to dictate part of the world's affairs because that's just how fucking imperialism works and that's how the empire is. So you have to be able to know your shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why would I vote for you if you have no fucking comment on foreign policy? My first issue I ever gave a shit about was anti-war issues.
Yeah,
and
same here.
I'm not going to vote for someone who's a fucking warmonger. That's my red line. That's always been my red line.
But I think that's a problem, though, that we were talking about earlier, is that these candidates don't think they have to have foreign policy because the progressive movement doesn't give a shit about it. So they can just not talk about it and nobody will notice because their voters don't care.
When you do, it's like, oh, shut up, Medicare for all. Do you not want health care?
Oh my god, I'm so tired of people saying that. Holy balls, y'all.
Hey, newsflash, we can't have fucking health care if we're in a nuclear winter.
Hey, newsflash, I still care about people in third world countries who are under our drones, even though I want everybody to have health care in this country. You can do both.
What? No.
Yes. Hey, wait, listen, it's that multitasking thing I talked about earlier. It's really cool. You should check it out.
You must have a mega brain.
Ah! Mega brain.
I'm very cerebral. I'm
That is
cerebral
probably
and
the greatest thing to come out of this trial is
Oh, that's one of my favorite Discord guys. He's so great.
I think it's the second greatest thing because the first greatest thing is watching the prosecution get their ass handed to them daily in court. That's been pretty fucking.
I really wish I could have like a live video of Carrie Shankman just absolutely kicking the prosecution's ass.
I'm glad you asked that.
Between Shankman and Professor Koppelman, who was like, just let the fucking cat out of the bag and broke every rule of British decorum in a courtroom by going, there's been 5 or 6 occasions when you yourself, James Lewis QC, have asked for my on this exact subject. So I think it's a bit rich that you would try and criticize my credentials here.
I would have loved to have had a video on Lewis right there to see his expression when that happened. That would have been
basically what it looked like when the penis stopped being erect.
I would have loved to have been in the courtroom because I would have lost my shit.
The whole courtroom was their shit, and the judge didn't even fucking shut him up. Like, she let that shit happen.
Because it's funny. I think she was probably laughing too. That shit's funny. I don't care who you are.
Oh, I wouldn't have even been laughing. I would have been screaming probably, like I'm at a fucking basketball game because
there would be floor stomping involved.
That's the environment I grew up in. I would literally be like, "Oh shit! You just got your ass handed to you."
Yeah, and I guarantee you that James Lewis comes from a place where people only clap on the 1 and 3, so it would fucking put him in a totally different environment. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Oh, Mega Brain. Poor Mega Brain.
Now there's a fucking song lyric that's like, I don't think this is the place for me. Everybody's clapping on the 1 and 3, and I have no idea what fucking song it is right now, but I remember it very fucking vividly. And now I have an earworm in my head that I must go fucking find. Yeah. So this is how my mind works. Sorry.
Hey, do you have ADD? Because I do, and that's how my mind works. That's how my mind works.
So I grew up. I went to elementary school in the 80s, like before diagnosing children with ADD was just something that you did because there was a day that ended in Y.
Right.
And so I missed that. I
have pretty severe ADHD. I don't know if it's obvious or not. It could be. I don't know. But yeah, my brain's very zoomy like that. And then it will like stop and fixate on one thing. And then I'm like super hyper focused on that one thing. And then that's like my obsessive nature about tweeting people about Julian Assange. That's where that comes from. So people are like, man, I really appreciate your tenacity. Nope, that's just my ADHD.
Hey, you got to use what you got for the best.
Hey, my mama always told me to use what you have to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
If my timeline isn't like Comrade Misty every other tweet, I know something's wrong.
The only time it's not is when I'm like trying to homeschool 2 kids or trying to clean my house because for the past 3 weeks, all I've done is tweet at people. That's the only time you won't see me. Yeah, I've been very hyper-focused.
It happens. I get it.
Yeah.
We've got a stream at 2:30, don't we, Steve? Or 3 or
what?
Whatever. Do we have a stream tonight? Or this morning?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this morning, yes.
Next morning,
or
whatever.
Monday morning. Right. What will be in like, but we're like 15 hours away from that.
No, I'm just making sure I get some sleep before that.
And this week's gonna be a little bit weird too because Andre has to go to work at like I think 8 on the East Coast, so he's gonna be hopping out around.
Do you need me to pop in?
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Fuck, dude. Why? Like, anybody who is up at such uncivilized hours should feel welcome.
That's really not that uncivilized for the East Coast fan. 8 o'clock in the morning. I have 2 kids.
I mean, like, I mean, when the hearing starts. At
I'm
5.
not getting up at 5. Yeah, I'm not getting up at 5.
Yeah.
But if you need me to pop in when he goes to work, I'm all for that. I can do that.
And I think Kendra is going to be able to pop in a little bit too, and she's on Mountain Time, so she's 2 hours behind East Coast time, and we'll, like as we all have to get out and go to work. Fortunately and unfortunately, because I'm on the West Coast, my work day starts just after court ends. So I can pretty much close it out. But this is fucking...
I can homeschool whenever, yo.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. We're very unscheduled around here, you know, because I have ADHD. We don't, there's no schedule.
This shit is so nuts, dude. Like, I mentioned this on Twitter, and I think I've talked about it once or twice here, but I'll reiterate because it's fucking crazy, dude. My 8-year-old has to be on camera, like, scrubbed and attentive and fed from 8:30 until like 2:40.
That's not how we roll here.
It's asinine.
That's not how we roll here. Dude, my homeschool approach is like, okay, you ready? And we just like do whatever they feel like doing. And then we take a break when they want to take a break. And then we go back to it when we want to. And some days we don't do shit. And the next day we might do a whole bunch. And I teach them about, you know, doing laundry and, you know, gardening and stuff too. And we learn, like, we've been learning about all kinds of like revolutionary people. I've been teaching about Emma Goldman last week.
Hell yeah.
So, you know, like my kids are getting a hell of a good education right now, probably better than they'd ever get in a public school. I mean,
100%.
I'm not saying I'm super smart or a teacher or like, but it's not, you know, state structured bullshit.
I mean, in the same manner that all it really takes to be a journalist is to look out your window and describe what's going on, and remembering to look both directions out of your window, doing a better job than federally set educational standards, pretty fucking easy.
Yeah,
It's really
it has to be documented.
But and here's the thing, like, it shouldn't be that way though. Like, we got a letter from the school district basically saying like, well, parents, it's up to you this year, you know. And my job is I can bring my kid to work, but my kid is not going to be able to do his school work where I work because we use very loud equipment all fucking day. And if we're not using loud equipment, we're listening to loud music. It's just not conducive for, you know, you shouldn't try and do your book learning on a construction site. Kids, you shouldn't, you know. That's, I guess, friendly advice from your good Uncle Steve here. But you don't do your schoolwork in a construction zone, you know. Like, that's pretty basic. Just like, don't commit advice. Yeah, never commit a misdemeanor while in the process of committing a felony. Like, pretty straightforward shit.
I mean, it's crazy, though. They expect one parent basically to stay home in California. And, like, if both parents don't work, you ain't paying your fucking rent. Period.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I have no idea how parents are doing it. Like, I'm lucky I didn't work anyway, so it was not really, I mean, it was a shitty transition for me because now I have to be a teacher, and that's not really what I wanted to do with my life. But, you know, it's not that hard. But there are parents who don't have a choice. There are single moms who don't have an option. And there are, you know, parents who both have to work who don't have an option. I have no idea what the fuck they're supposed to do. It's an impossible situation. And then you put like a 5-year-old in front of a computer for 8 hours and expect them to learn something. That's not how 5-year-olds work. You know, That's just not. It's impossible. It's really impossible. And I don't know how parents are going to get through it. Our kids are going to be behind on whatever standardized bullshit
my kid's already struggling, man. She already kind of struggled in school anyway. And like, I
have a kid with autism. I mean, I'm trying to schedule speech therapy sessions over Google Meet and all of this other shit and try to worry about all of the other things that come along with, you know, following an IEP and all of that stuff. And it's fucking complicated, but I can do it. You know, it's not like, but I'm lucky. I get to be home, and a lot of parents don't. So, it sucks for them. I don't know how they would do that.
Yeah, no, I get it. My kid's little brother, he's got autism, and man, that shit is time consuming. And
yes, thank you.
I mean, he's lucky that, you know, my kid's mom, she's able to stay home. Like, if that wasn't an option, he'd be screwed.
Yeah, and that's the case for a lot of those kids who are in, you know, developmentally displayed classrooms. I don't know. There are a lot of the kids in my daughter's class they went back to school. Like, they had no choice, because our school is you had a choice. You could either stay home or you could go back. And so a lot of them, they don't have a choice. They had to send their kids back. And, some of them are also medically compromised. They have other underlying issues. And so, if, they get COVID or whatever, if you believe it's real or you don't, I don't really give a shit. I'm just saying the panic of a parent and, to try to navigate making that decision and try to weigh the odds and try to figure out, what's the best move for your kid. That's really stressful. And a lot of parents are dealing with that, and nobody's really, I don't think really anybody's really talking about that situation and what is happening to, the stress level of parents and kids, really. But I think parents are dealing with a lot extra right now,
That's
COVID
that's
is
something.
real or not, everybody's getting screwed. Just absolutely pegged.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing from some teachers about this issue, especially.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Well, and there's two different takes, of course there's got to be different takes from different teachers, but the couple that I've talked to here in town are just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it. It doesn't. What I have heard is that out of an hour of classroom time, you maybe get the students for 20 minutes. Like, they're, as close to their full attention as they are capable of giving for 20 minutes. And if you're going to put them in front of a fucking camera that now, like, students are having to, like, sign on to this snitch software that lets the teacher know if they've got another app open or something, like, automatically, like, you've got to seed all of the information on your computer to this person through this program before they will fucking teach you? Are you fucking kidding me? No.
I didn't know that. God damn it.
They haven't done that in the elementary school.
They've actually had that software in development since before COVID, though, because I remember they used it in my high school.
Of course they did.
Jesus
now
Christ.
it's just very popular. Now it's just, like, everywhere.
I think they've never waste a good opportunity to roll out some evil shit.
I will say that my school district is very good about not doing, like, we don't have to sign in on a computer at a certain time. We don't have to do things in a certain order. We're free to do what we want. If my kid, who is very much like me and gets very hyper focused on certain things at times, if she wants to just do math all day long, she's free to do that. As long as she has all of her assignments completed for the week, that's all that matters. Doesn't matter when you do them, where you do them, how you do them, what order you do them in. Just do your work, turn it in, and you get credit.
That's how I did it in high school. I was part of a pilot program that did that, and I learned a shitload more than most of my peers. So.
I think that's the best way to teach a lot of students. There's no one best way to teach a kid, but for my kid especially, like I said, she does get hyper focused on certain things at times. And if you're like, that's how I taught her growing up before I even knew she was autistic. I don't know why, it just felt very natural to me. Like, she would get very obsessed with her alphabet. So for like 3 weeks, we hammered the alphabet and she learned it. And then she got super hyper focused on animals. So we really focused on animals, and she learned, she can come at me with animal facts and I have to Google or DuckDuckGo it to see if she's right. I'm not smart enough to know. And every time she's right, and I'm like, God damn it, she's smarter than me.
Hey, that's my goal. Yeah. My goal is to have my kids smarter than me.
Yeah, but she's only 12.
I get it.
So let me throw something at you guys, and I don't know if I've mentioned it or not. I know that this was shit that I talked about in DC, but I think, like, on the porch and not on camera. This situation that we're in right now, where there's still a bunch of the world on lockdown, and all of these like medical martial law type programs have been tried to be implemented. The fact that there's like tens of thousands of people in the streets in Europe and in Australia protesting lockdown policies, but hardly any more of that is happening here. According to Corey Morningstar's research, And the research that a buddy of mine, who's been on the show a few times before, a guy called Benjamin Balderson, who has a channel called Odin's Alchemy, that is incredibly interesting. They've likened this, and this is what they're describing as both the Great Reset and the rollout of Agenda 21 / Agenda 2030. And if you don't know about Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030, but what it basically is, it is the total control of large cities in this sort of dystopian technocracy where we eventually become transhumanist fucking cyborgs that exist purely to generate more capital for a handful of people. So Ben, and by the way, when we had to evacuate, and the safest place that I could think of was Murder Mountain, that in and of itself is one of life's perfect ironies. The only safe place and fire-free place in the state that I could think of that we had, a place to go automatically was fucking Murder Mountain, because that's just how my life works. That's my buddy Ben's place. And he was like, now that we're here, 25 acres, Southern Humboldt County, inarguably God's country, maybe we should just let them do it. Maybe we should just give them the cities. Maybe we should just stay out here. Yeah, it means we can't travel internationally. We'll never get a vaccine passport. But we'll also never have a Neuralink. Should we just let it happen? Or should we try and educate people and have them push back on it? Is it too late to push back on it?
I'm always in favor of pushing back. I think that's always like my first gut reaction is fight back. But that's just my personality. So I get the appeal of just fuck it. Let them do it, Like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I know you guys are. I mean, we're all exhausted. Anybody who has put any effort into any sort of activism is tired. We're tired. Like, it's a hard fight. So I get that appeal. But my gut instinct is always to fight back. Like, you can't let these motherfuckers control you like that.
I am tired. But yeah, I'll go with Misty. I'll say fight back, just because, I don't know, I'm young, so I still have quite a bit of time left.
I'm not. That's just my personality. Like, I don't know. Yeah, you're like a little baby. You're like what, 20, Glory, right? Like,
yeah, but I'm an adult.
No, but I'm 38, so like you're like a little baby to me. Like, you're just like, I remember being 20, and God bless you.
I barely remember being 20.
Well, that's true. I actually don't. And to be honest, Glory, I was at raves, not at protests when I was 20. So good on you, sister.
Right?
I was.
I did that shit like Habsy 50.
Yeah, I'm like half of all y'all's age, but at the same time, like.
I don't mean that to be condescending at all.
I know you're not.
No, I really don't. Like, I have mad respect for you at 20 to be doing what you're doing, because I sure as shit wasn't. I'm just saying, like, being 38 and thinking about myself at 20, like, that's, that's a whole nother ball game. So yeah, I'm not young, but I still, like, just my gut instinct is just fight. Like, I don't want them to have that much control over me. I don't want them to be able to tell me where I can and can't travel, or what I can and can't do, where I can and can't live. Fuck you. I'll do what I want.
Seconded.
I have kind of a combination of both. Like, I do want to fight back as long as possible, but like I've been saying for months, I just want to fucking live out in the middle of goddamn nowhere, like with some land. Like, that's
what I'm really getting at. Like, I'm not saying don't fight, but is it something that may be worth worth considering, I guess, because if you read the Agenda 21 stuff, if you read the Agenda 2030 stuff, what they're saying is we just want the current large population centers, and we're going to leave the wilderness areas basically to fucking rot and fend for themselves.
I think we should start a slow news day commune, honestly.
I've been saying that shit.
And I have been offered an address in a buildable spot up on Murder Mountain.
Saying I'll move.
I can't guarantee that won't burn because, you know, I don't control the direct energy weapons.
Ohio has a lot of wilderness, and we are not at risk of any major weather events, really. And we're probably not going to see any climate change flooding because, you know, we're pretty central, kind of. It sucks here, but we could probably find a couple hundred acres somewhere, I'm sure.
Cheap
well,
as
I'm
fuck,
between Miami and Los Angeles, so I'm either getting a hurricane, a tornado, an earthquake, or a fire. So.
Woo! You got the lottery.
Yeah,
we
got options for it. Options are what makes life worthwhile.
Yeah, variety. Spice it up, girl. Variety. Yeah,
Right.
We get the occasional tornado, but they're usually like those like little tiny baby ones that like come down and touch the ground and knock over a few patio chairs, and then they're gone. So that's about all we get.
A tornado actually touched down on my middle school once, and
crazy.
we were just the whole time.
That's nuts.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm down to move out in the middle of nowhere, Steve.
Me too.
I like that idea more than more. Oh shit!
Like, and it's not that I want to stop fighting or anything, but I would like to continue fighting while having the ability to fish off of my own deck.
Yeah. True story.
Yeah, they're like straight up. Like I don't really want much out of life, but if I can fucking die fishing on my property, I'll be pretty stoked with the way that turned out.
You know what's crazy about what you just said? You said, I don't want much out of life. I think that's true for most people. They don't want much out of life. They want to be able to feed their family, have a roof over their head, be able to go to the doctor when they're sick, maybe go on a couple vacations here and there. People don't want much, but the people in power are so fucking greedy. They can't even just let people have a decent way of life. And then they can still be rich as fuck and have lots of yachts and lots of mansions, and they can still have their fancy parties with their fancy glasses of wine and all that stuff. They can still have it. They're just so greedy. They can't just allow everybody else to have just a decent way of life. That's all people want.
You can have one yacht, just don't have like 50 while the rest of the people underneath you are suffering.
Right?
People starving, their children starving. Like, that's obscene to me. I don't know how you could, as a human being, be okay with yourself knowing that you have Betsy DeVos's 10 yachts while there are children starving in the richest country in the world. That's nuts.
I don't understand that because, like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I get a paycheck and I'm immediately like super chatting 10% of it off to the combo couch, and then like Venmoing the other 10% of it to like mutual aid funds around LA and Miami. And it's like, it's not hard.
It's really not. Like we just said, they could still be obscenely wealthy and have lots of very nice things, and their stupid hundreds of thousands of dollars of whatever Birkin bags or whatever,
like hundreds of millions.
Well, I'm talking about just like their purse collection. Like I was watching my mom had surgery recently. I was at my mom's house and she was watching one of those dumb like celebrity like gossip shows, and I don't even remember who it was. Some celebrity was like giving a tour of their closet, which is bigger than my bedroom, and it was like filled, like one whole wall was like nothing but purses. And I'm like, how many hungry kids could that feed? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're like proud of this, showing it off like you're on an episode of Cribs, and all I'm thinking is you're disgusting. You're gross.
I know.
It bothers me. I hate money. Like it's ruined everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the economic system allowed for self-determination at the same time that it allowed for the ability to train your bowels never to be able to take a shit unless you sat down on a solid gold toilet, like I think that there could be some way to like make it work, but we have almost exclusively chosen to reward sociopaths and punish the people who just want to scratch out a decent living for their families and have a little fucking patch of dirt that they can call their own.
I say this all the time. We have to stop elevating the worst among us to positions of power. That has to stop. Like, we cannot keep, these are pure psychopaths. Like, these people do not have the ability to have moral understanding or empathy or any of those things. They're incapable. And those are the people that we somehow manage to elevate to positions of power. And that has to be something that collectively as a species, we're like, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only are people uplifting them, then they'll straight up deep throat their fucking boot, because it's like, you criticize them, you say one thing against them, and all of a sudden it's, oh no, why are you hating? Like, why are you hating? Why are you going after this person? Typical.
And the people that are deep throating their boot,
to just hate on successful people.
Those are the people who are to be fighting against them. Like, you have Bernie Sanders out there trying to gaslight people that Joe Biden's going to be the next FDR. Go fuck yourself, dude. That's bullshit. And you're supposed to be somebody who claims to be fighting against the establishment and against the system. And he is honestly doing the greatest disservice to an actual leftist movement than anybody, I think, in history. There's no question.
If the DNC was smart, they would have let Bernie win and then just chucked Elizabeth Warren as his VP, fucking Joe Biden into his cabinet.
They could have controlled government for decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want
it would have been a successful con.
Absolutely. It would have been Obama, but better. Like, the game would have been better. They would have been able to play that off for so much longer, and it would have put the left, like the actual left, not quite as far left as me, maybe, because I don't know that I've ever been, asleep. But it would have put all of the Bernie Sanders supporters, they would have been asleep immediately. Oh, yeah. Everything would have been roses. But the problem with the Democrats is they don't want power. They want Trump to win. If Trump wins, they don't have to do anything. They can blame everything on Republicans, and they can fundraise like crazy off of Orange Man Bad. And that's the game they're playing. They don't want to win.
Yeah,
so
I agree
is there
with
a
that.
solution? Is there a solution to this? Because the thing that I wanted to tell Lee, but we got on a different subject when he talked about not voting only works if like 99% of people don't vote. And I've had this conversation with Reverend Annie, and she was like, "Hey, if you can pull it off, fuck, go for it, dude. That sounds great." But blocking polling stations nationwide, like, how many people would it take to shut down, as the majority of polling stations? Because they go out of their way to limit the number of them each and every year. Like, they outdo themselves in terms of shutting down places where people can go vote. So they're making it easier for us. But is there a pathway to agency for regular citizens by blocking the ability to vote? No, you don't get an election until we get real candidates.
I don't know if that would work, because honestly, they would just come arrest you within a half an hour of showing up, and then people would just go vote.
Yeah, but that's like that. That's the kind of time you can do fucking standing up.
Not to mention, it would have to be a lot of people, because if you try that, you are going to be gaslit out of your fucking mind.
Oh yeah.
And like, I not even fully blocking, like me alone going, well, perhaps pushing mail-in ballots are a bad idea, immediately gets me gaslit. So it's like, you would need a lot of like just completely committed people to do that. So.
And that is the biggest issue. There are a lot of people who agree with a lot of the things that we say, but they're also scared, and they're also not good at standing firm. There are a lot of people who can be pushed around, and they think that they have leftist ideals, but once they get pushed back, then all of a sudden they're caving on them. And it's really hard to be bold enough to refuse to be moved. So I think that that's probably our biggest obstacle, is getting people who don't have that fear of being pushed around and bullied. Because I mean, I get bullied daily on Twitter, and you know, I know that you guys do too on occasion, and it doesn't bother me like that doesn't, but it does to a lot of people. A lot of people really get their feelings hurt and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but we need, you know, if we're going to do it, we're going to have to make sure that we have a lot of people, and B, a lot of people who have the spine to truly stand up and follow it through.
Well, almost 47% of the country didn't vote in the last presidential election. So that in and of itself makes non-voters the majority of that group. So I don't, you know, I mean, that's almost half of the fucking voting age population in the country that was like, nah.
Those people are genuinely just apathetic, though. They don't care. Like, they just don't care. The system has fucked them over so many times. They don't give a shit.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that, Misty, because the folks that I know that don't vote are very.
I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them
don't vote, and do half of them at least have a background in activism and will go fucking back out into the streets at like any goddamn, you know, for any reason under the sun, except for the ones that are clearly astroturf movements that are in and of themselves like low-key color revolutions.
Yeah, I'm not saying all of them. I'm saying that there are a huge percentage of people who don't vote because they just don't care anymore. They can't be bothered to care. They've tried voting for Democrats. That didn't work. They tried voting for Republicans. That didn't work. They're still getting screwed over. So they just don't give a fuck anymore.
That's a big chunk of people.
I'm surrounded by those people. I'm surrounded by those people. I'm surrounded by Trump voters and non-voters. And, you know, Trump voters are still under the delusion that he's outside the system and that he cares and he's trying to change things. And non-voters are like, I just don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter who I vote for. I get the same shit sandwich, so why bother?
Yeah, and that's most people I know that don't vote are in that latter category.
And you're right, Steve. There are people who don't vote because, you know, and they're activists and they have a background in activism and they could be like reinvigorated if the right movement came along. But I think that there is a huge percentage of people who just don't care anymore. They know it doesn't matter who they vote for. They're getting the same thing, so they don't care.
I mean, I'm in that category.
There's a portion of the activist population. And there is evidence for this theory that believe that the only way that you can be effective politically is by straight up taking over a political party.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And
first of all, you're not taking over either of the two major parties. That's a long gone hope. Yeah. That's never going to happen. I think maybe the last chance that we had at potentially making that happen would have been Bernie Sanders 2016. And that would have only been if he wasn't a loyal party soldier already, because he was. But he had the kind of support that maybe could have managed that sort of effort, but that has passed. He blew that opportunity. And I don't think that there's ever going to be another situation where that arises again. That's just not, they're corrupt to the core. You're not going to take that over. It will take you over. That's just how it is.
I mean, just him not speaking on Assange after, you know, Assange made it clear that they fucked him. I mean, that was a huge red flag for me. Like, I'm like, wait a minute, something ain't right here.
And dude can't even say his name.
Yeah,
you have literal receipts proving you got screwed. It was ruled in a court of law that
dude's got plenty of time for Russiagate.
Broward County.
I mean, it took fucking Nico House and Beck, man, and the Becks to like let us know how bad that was,
and Canova. Tim was a part of that.
He was. Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
seriously though,
he should have been doing that.
Yes, but he's been Russiagating for 4 fucking years. He's still doing it to this day. Just a couple of days ago, he did that speech where he talked about, you know, how Trump likes his authoritarian Russian friends or whatever. Go fuck yourself, dude. Oh my God, Bernie Sanders is such a Trump. He's so embarrassingly awful.
See, I don't know about you, Misty, but I'm really looking forward to the premiere of the Comey Rule on ABC TV.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna get high and I'm gonna get so high, and I'm gonna make so much fun of it. It's gonna be great fun.
I saw the trailer for it. I saw the full trailer for it. I was laughing for about 20 minutes after. It is genuine comedy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel really bad though, because that guy, what's that guy's name? Jeff Daniels or whatever. I like him. And dude, what are you doing?
Hey, he got to make money too.
I know, but god damn it.
So Jeff Daniels has been at the forefront of probably some of the most like powerful neoliberal bullshit to come off of screen in a number of years. He was the guy from Newsroom.
Yeah, true. See, he's Dumb and Dumber to me. Like, I like that guy. He's funny.
Well, and Newsroom was this like Aaron Sorkin just fantasy land where like, and even the like that that speech that went viral, the America isn't the best country in the world anymore kind of thing, like even that was so steeped in reimagined history and some skewed statistics in there that like it takes away from the effectiveness of a statement like that to have to pepper it with such fucking garbage. You know, it's just it's just an example of the media delivering a false history for Americans to continue to be the most heavily propagandized country on the fucking planet.
Yeah, but that's why I don't watch TV. And like, do you know this? This is how you know I don't watch TV and movies. Like, my last reference for Jeff Daniels is Dumb and Dumber. That's how much I don't watch TV and movies, because it is all crap. I don't like. I watch documentaries, and that's about it. And even that is iffy. I mean, you can get some really crap, propaganda documentaries, but I don't watch TV and movies. Like, that really is the last thing I've ever seen him in, I think. And that's
that's another thing we have in common, Misty. I don't watch that shit either.
I don't watch TV or movies. Sorry, guys.
Don't watch TV. Hollywood is CIA propaganda.
Yep.
Don't watch that. Watch anime instead. Promise you'll like it.
All right.
Yeah, I've never gotten into anime either. I do watch Star vs. the Forces of Evil because my kid likes it, and it's an amazing show.
I love that show.
Seriously, if nobody's seen it, you should go watch it. It's fucking
anime
hilarious.
inspired, so
It is, and that's why I mentioned it, because it is anime inspired, and it's seriously hilarious. It cracks me up. We quote it around this house, like there are Star vs. the Force of Evil quotes flying everywhere all the time.
Star vs. Forces of Evil, Gravity Falls, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra. And Boondocks. I feel like
my 9-year-old is really into all that stuff. So that's what
I
we're
don't
know how many of you guys watch Boondocks, but I feel like you would love it.
Can I tell you something about Boondocks that I was like, after Aaron Magruder left, it fell off, in my opinion. But holy fuck, dude. Like, the show, the animated series, as raw as that is, had nothing on the comic strips.
Oh, yeah.
And the comic strips got banned out of like every fucking major newspaper. They tried everything they could to destroy Aaron Magruder. And there was one where Huey and Cesar were hanging out. It was a comic strip, 3 panels. And Huey goes, I think all of these comparisons to Bush and Adolf Hitler are inappropriate. And Cesar goes, why is that? And he goes, well, for one, I'm pretty sure Hitler was democratically elected. And that was the panel. And that was in like 2002.
Yeah.
When you were not allowed to speak ill of the president. This is before Doonesbury started illustrating George Bush as for the first while he was just a cowboy hat that spoke, and then it became a Roman centurion's hat, and then the helmet became more disheveled over the course of the comic strip. But even fucking Doonesbury wouldn't go after George Bush until it was like popular and okay to do it, because we all sort of made this collective agreement that we were going to fully believe every aspect of the psyop that was 9/11, but we could still disagree with everything else George Bush said. It was a really weird fucking time. Really was. And it's happening again. Like, there are people who would never believe a word Bill Gates said because he was the fucking, you know, Microsoft Trust lawsuit guy who fucking invaded and destroyed a ton of people's fucking lives and privacy through the equipment that he created. And nobody would
Gates.
fucking... Huh?
I said, fuck Gates.
Yeah. And now people are like, okay, well, he's been rehabilitated by the media, so I guess he can't be that bad. And we should probably just, you know, cede all of our autonomy to Bill Gates. Because, fuck it. I don't know. It's what we do now. It's infuriating. I was close to New York City on 9/11. I was in Tuxedo Park, New York, which is this little like resort town where the Renaissance Festival took place. I don't know if you've been over this or not, but I used to go around the country every couple of months, move every couple of months, and I was working at various Renaissance festivals, and that's where we were, and we couldn't see the sky for a few days, and everyone like had a sense when it happened that, okay, this is the government trying to manufacture a reason to go to war, and I can't believe they actually killed their own people to do it, but they did. So now what do we do? And really within 2 weeks, the patriotic fervor that swept across New York State took away the ability to ask uncomfortable questions.
The whole damn country, man. It was like that in California at the time, too. It was a trip.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, do you guys want an update?
Of course.
Okay, it's so good, y'all. So first he says, I've spoken out consistently about journalists and whistleblowers being retaliated against by U.S. government. I've got my problems with the guy, but U.S. charges against him are bullshit. That said, I really don't appreciate people trying to smear me because I didn't comment on this specific case in larger category of cases that I speak about all the time. That's fucked up. And I definitely don't like when people harass my partner because I didn't reply to someone who I've had muted for a long time for spamming my replies.
That's a politician answer.
That's a bullshit answer, and it's offensive that that's his answer. Like, are you kidding me? I shouldn't have had to spam your replies. I shouldn't have had to spam your replies.
I got problems with the guy, which is just speak for, like, fuck that guy.
That's the Anna Kasparian Tim Black special.
Oh, stop smearing me. Nobody smeared you. Nobody smeared you. We asked you to speak about a historic court case on press freedom. Nobody smeared you. Nobody harassed you. Nobody attacked you. Did I spam your Twitter replies? Absolutely. And I shouldn't have had to do that in the first place. Sorry, dude.
Jesus Christ. We do it live.
Can you put that up on the share screen? Is that possible?
Yeah, hold on.
Let's let the whole class see that.
Okay, let's see.
I'll be back in like 30 seconds.
It's 3 different tweets, so hold on. I gotta figure out how the fuck to do this. And of course Sleepy Josh leaves as I'm trying to like figure out how to do something technical. Let's see.
I kind of want to reply.
I retweeted and I said, well, that clears it up. Thanks a lot, douche.
Might get a certain someone in your mention soon.
Hold on.
All right, I'm back.
Sleepy, how do I share my Twitter on here?
I'm
on the share your screen thing.
You should be able to select a Chrome tab from there. If you're using
Okay, yeah, I see it. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Is it up? Did I do it?
Yeah, it's taking a second, but I believe
Yeah,
so.
you.
Yep.
I see it.
Okay, so that's one of them. There they all are.
And then if you scroll up, there's more of them. All right, I'll keep my reply simple.
Yeah. So there's the 3 responses that I got right there, fam. There you go. There's his answer.
Well, I guess I can quit following that guy.
I shouldn't have had to spam you. I get why he muted me because I am really annoying. I get that. But I shouldn't have had to do that in the first place. The first time you saw me asking you to speak for Assange, you should have been like, "Oh yeah, I should do that," and then I wouldn't have had to spam you.
Yep.
Jesus.
Well, he's definitely lost my support. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Weak as fuck.
Cap.
He is a true politician.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, and look, it's the same playbook. It's the same playbook that all of these politicians who won't do it will
All right,
say,
kill the share screen so we can see
Hold on.
Steve.
blue button that says stop.
Got it.
All right, we're back.
It is. It's the exact same playbook. It's don't attack me. Look at all I've done. I've already agreed with Bernie Sanders, who said that one thing that one day.
Yep.
And that's got to be enough. Like, I look at all of these other things that I support. I pay attention to the nice fluffy things that I'm talking about and completely ignore that I can't even bring myself to say the name Julian Assange out loud in front of people.
Yeah, I said
Literally no one smeared him. No one. Not a single person.
There was no smear
him.
there.
Huh?
You just asked the man to fucking talk about something. You didn't smear him.
That's it. And the only reason and then he says that somebody was harassing his partner. No, people were tagging her, which is exactly why I didn't go to her in the first place, because I didn't want it to end up a her issue. It's not a her issue. It's a him issue. So yeah, like that's, nobody smeared you. Nobody harassed your partner. Nobody attacked you. You're not a victim. Ugh, shut up.
Nope, he's just a fucking little bitch
Weak
politician.
Ass bitch. Yes. Yeah.
I wish people would understand that.
Well, again, if you're gonna pretend that making a weasel worded statement about protecting journalists and whistleblowers when you're afraid to name one, it doesn't even have to be Julian Assange. Like, Lee Carter could be like, why the hell is Reality Winner serving the longest sentence for violating the Espionage Act ever in the history of this country? Why is that a thing? What?
Shit, they could hide behind Obama. Obama didn't want to prosecute Julian Assange because it was, a very slippery slope and an attack against the First Amendment. You could hide against that bitch ass too. Your bitch ass could hide behind that bitch ass, and you'd be all good. So
I love mystery in the comments. Tell me where my sentences touched you.
Oh Jesus! Oh, that's great, Tree.
Show me on the bear where my words hurt you.
He's bitching about me spamming his replies, which yes, I have done for the past several weeks. I've been incredibly nice to him. Y'all have seen how I treat other people, right? You guys have seen that. I'm very nice to him. All I ever do is speak for Assange. Speak for Assange. Speak for Assange, please. Please speak for Assange. I haven't gone after him like I've gone after Bernie Sanders or AOC or even Paula Deen, for God's sake. Like, I've been incredibly nice to him because of his relationship with somebody who I've been friendly with on Twitter for several years. Like, I've been nice to you. And then you want to act like we're attacking you? Seriously? Oh, ridiculous. Insane.
We need to start a list of these fucking people.
I have one.
Of course.
I got some names to add.
I have one. I've been keeping track. Every time I contact somebody on Twitter, I write it down. I write down whether or not they respond to me. I write down how many times I've tweeted at them, because I just want a record. How many times it took me to get you to say something, and how weak your response is when you finally do.
Yeah, he gets a 1 star.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I'm waiting now. Like, if he starts blocking people, like Paula Jean's probably been my worst. If he starts blocking people, then he'll be moving up to the top of the class.
Paula Jean was weird. That was just straight up weird.
That was really bizarre. That was the most bizarre experience I've ever had on Twitter, and I've had a lot of bizarre experiences on Twitter. So that's saying something. That was seriously, I can't. Like, I still, when I think about it, I'm just like, what? What the fuck?
Yeah, no, that was wild as fuck, dude. Because everyone was completely deferential to her.
Yes.
There was
nice.
Yeah, like
I even said all due respect. All due respect.
Yeah, but that's a phrase that means I'm about to shit on you.
Which I didn't, though. I didn't.
The only time people say
even Kimber's
all due respect
is,
you know.
Kimber was nice. I was nice. Everybody was nice.
Mean Panda was nice.
Kimber was very nice.
That's wow.
You can go back and look.
I wish I could go back to that thread and pull it up so you guys could see, but she blocked all of us.
She blocked all of us, and she went back and deleted all of her replies. So you can go back and look at our stuff, but she deleted all of hers.
Wow. The weirdest thing about that, and again, it's the inability to say somebody's name, to type somebody's name. Like she said in that thread, I support 100%. Isn't that enough, or something like that? But I remember the I support 100%.
Attack my opponent, not me. My opponent wouldn't have even given you the time of day. Why don't you attack them?
That was seriously when it first started and she was just hiding the replies. I was like taken aback by that, but I was like, okay, maybe this is a staff member, which it ended up being a staff member who was hiding the replies initially. And then, but I spoke to this woman on the phone, like person to person. I was very polite. All I did was say, listen, we understand that you're in a difficult position. You're in a hard race. You know, it's really hard, you know, to have the courage to speak out. All we're asking you to do is just put out a public statement of support for Julian Assange and press freedoms. That's all we're asking you. And she was very cool. She was super receptive. Like, we had a very nice conversation. And then a few hours later, all of a sudden I'm attacking her. And why are you guys so mean to me? And why are you picking me apart? And, you know, my opponent wouldn't give you the time of day. And I'm like, lady, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, and here's what I think. I think that she came back those couple hours later looking for a reason to block me and looking for a reason to be mad, because then she doesn't have to put out a statement.
Well, somebody had
they were mean.
Somebody had a talk with her and said, if you want us to continue supporting you, you're going to get your head right on this. And then she did the next day. She went out and put out a statement that was vague in support of not prosecuting journalists and whistleblowers. And I think I saw somewhere where like she was on somebody's show and they flat out asked her about it and like put her in a corner and made her talk about it. But I didn't follow up on it because it's one of those things where like I'll see it at work and be like, oh, that's neat. I have to go fucking build shit, you know. I don't have a desk job. I can't, you know, have that dedicated computer that's open for fuckery, or that dedicated tab that's open for fuckery. That's not how building shit works. So I would have to go back into my mentions like 2 weeks now in order to maybe find that, and that's not something that I'm going to do. But I'm probably going to wrap here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out. And look, man, I want to do a couple more of these because I did fucking throw a lot of wrenches at people. And I would love to.
We need shirts.
Yeah, wrench gang.
We need shirts.
I've been saying mod gang.
Mod gang. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But and look, you know, hassle Kendra about that because she keeps telling me that's gonna be a good T-shirt. Okay, well, you pick that up. But I would love to get some final thoughts from both of you before we close out for the day.
Glory, you want to go first?
Oh shit. I don't know. I guess if you liked what I said, you can follow me on Twitter. Just search for Glory Jones, and I'm going to be the first one that pops up with the free Assange. If you have the ability to, and if there's one in your area, if there are any actions in your area, get involved, go to a protest, and just talk to the people. It's very, I found it's very just beneficial to just stand in solidarity with whoever you can. And from there, you'll be able to have a very nice dialogue with them. And normally they're very open to supporting Julian, and they're more likely to simply because of the act that you came there to stand in solidarity with them, which is what I'm about to do once I get off this chat. Thanks for having me on. I had a great time. Support indie media like Steve, like Misty, Convo, Nico, Jimmy, whoever else I'm forgetting, I'm sorry. But that's my 2 cents.
God damn the lists. I hate lists.
Right.
I always forget.
No.
The worst. The fucking worst.
Normally, I just go until I reach the character limit, and then I just let the people in the replies do the rest of the work for me.
Yeah, but then I feel like a shitheel because it's like, oh, that person was obvious. They should have been higher up on the list.
I forgot. And in the moment, I literally just thought of more people I could mention, like Richie Medhurst, Kevin, Consortium News, Whitney Webb, more people.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah. So thanks for letting me come on. I'm sorry for my appearance, you guys. I seriously haven't showered today. I've been cleaning. So, dry shampoo, no makeup. This is what you get. But I figured if you're going to talk about me in the damn stream or in the damn show, come on the show, thanks for letting me jump in and crash your party. You guys can find me on Twitter at Sarcasm Stardust. I have a show called Facts on the Ground. You can find that on YouTube. We also have a Twitter page, but we never post to it because we always forget. So you're better just to follow me on Twitter or Jesse Zerowell. He's my co-host. But yeah, just other than that, don't ever let anybody make you feel bad about holding people accountable. That's all I got to say about that.
Nice.
So I want to thank Misty and Glory and Rob Juno for popping in. That was fantastic.
It was cool to see Rob.
Hell yeah.
Very cool.
And as always, thanks to Sleepy Josh on them 1s and 2s for.
I'll try to get my cam set up for the next one.
Okay. Yeah, my buddy of mine, Willie T. Taylor, said that I could use his music anytime I wanted to on the show. So if you don't know who Will is, go to my Twitter page at Slow News Day and look like 3 posts down, and I put up one of his songs that includes just a tremendous. So look, before I close out, I'm gonna talk about this for just a second. There used to be a thing called the Strawberry Music Festival here in California, and it was just a wonderful time. It was in Yosemite National Forest. It brought out some just incredible artists, and what really made Strawberry was after the actual concerts were done for the night. They had this big food court and a bunch of cabins around it, and all of the musicians that would play and all of the people who were musicians that attended the festival would fucking spend from like midnight till 6 a.m. just randomly jamming with people. And it was just a fucking uplifting experience. And out of that music festival, a thing called the 52 Week Club was formed. And it's a songwriting thing where you get a name or a phrase or a topic on one day of the week, and then you have a week to write a song about it. And you come back and you meet up and you play your version of that song with other people, and they play their version of the song. And a band called the Good Luck Thrift Store Outfit came out of that, and most of their albums are all 52 Week Club songs, which is, and I'm a member of that to this day. I haven't been getting to writing much, as anyone who's ever been to the Action for Assange website can testify to. But that's one of those, like, it's made people better songwriters because they're a part of this thing. And I feel like Emma Goldman was right when she said, if you're having a revolution I can't dance at, I don't want to be at it. It'll be fun to be able to start incorporating Will and Good Luck's music into the thing. Please do take a moment to look them up. And I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks to Lee Camp for giving us some time today. That was awesome. I enjoy those conversations. And we'll probably see you Tuesday on the Free Assange Vigil.
Well, you'll see us tonight.
Oh, yeah?
This morning.
Oh, well, this morning. Yeah, stop saying tonight. You're freaking me out.
That's my night. That's my night. That's my nighttime.
Right. No, I will be back at like 3 o'clock in the morning to pick up the final week of testimony in the show trial and extraordinary rendition hearing of Julian Assange. So hopefully the people that are watching that aren't as depressed as we are.
Oh man, it's rough. After that shit, I just want to sleep for like fucking 2 days.
I think we're done with the medical testimony.
Yeah, that was rough.
Portion. Oh my god, dude, it really did. Like, that shit broke me. I was crying on the way to work every day. It fucking.
That made me legitimately angry.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah,
that was hard.
But yeah, so I'll see you bright and squirrely, and each day this week at entirely uncivilized times. Good luck to us all.
Later, y'all.